Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes so sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Or just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade. Sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. There's a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Sack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterway. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculousness that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes are sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me? Check one, check two, check one, check one, check two. Good morning, everyone. It is 3:02 a.m. in my time zone today. It is 9 o'clock on the East Coast. It is 6 a.m. on the West Coast. And I would imagine that means it's about 11 p.m. down under in Australia. How's everybody doing? I want to show you something fun. Kevin Reddington in his earlier days. Check this out. What? Check it out. Come to your screen if you can. This is Kevin Reddington, circa, I don't know what year, but they did, I don't know who this is, CVB did an interview with him. And who does he look like to you? Who does he look like to you? I mean, he looks like Tom Selleck, maybe? Tom Selleck, right? I mean, am I wrong? Magnum PI, yeah. Burt Reynolds, a little Burt Reynolds. I see it. I see it. Magnum PI, people are saying. Smash the like button on your way in because it's like wiping your feet on the mat. It's the nice thing to do. It's a nice thing to do. Okay, ready? That's circa maybe, I don't know, 70s. I don't think it really said, but how much do I love this? How much do I love this? Here's another picture for you. This is Kevin Reddington and his wife. This is a more recent photo on his Harley. Check it out. This is Kevin Reddington, age 75, riding a Harley. Badass or what? Is he a badass or what? NBC 10 Boston, those photos come from. So how cool is that? So cool. I want to show you what was going on a little bit earlier outside the courthouse. The internet is a wild place, as I always say. And man, people, I mean, the craziness from yesterday about why court ended early. I guess they knew it was, I couldn't really stream on time in the afternoon. And so what? They called court off. It worked out because they never came back in the afternoon. Here's the stand in peace for LINDSAY gathering outside the Plymouth Superior Court. No, that's his current wife, actually, I believe. Outside the Plymouth Superior Court, as caught on camera by Law and Crime. A lot of people out there. Look at this. Anybody out there? Boots on the ground this morning? Just play a little bit of this footage. People were asked to wear pink and to come to Plymouth Superior to stand in peace for LINDSAY. Something else that I found really interesting because I looked it up this morning because you know how much I love receipts, right? We've learned through this particular trial that postpartum psychosis affects 1 to 2 in every 1,000 women. And if you just go over there to Law and Crime for, I don't know, 30 seconds and read the chat, people don't think it exists. Dina is there. Oh, I love that. People don't think it exists. They don't think it's real, or maybe they just don't think it affects enough people. I just want to compare and contrast to you that ALS affects one and a half. That's the statistic. 1.5 to 2 people out of every 100,000. Does that blow your mind? ALS affects every 1 to 2 people in every 100,000. How much more awareness is there around ALS? Remember the Ice Bucket Challenge? Who doesn't? Anybody ever have anyone affected by ALS? I lost my father to ALS. It is the most horrific disease. It takes everything from you. And to think that postpartum psychosis now, not just depression, postpartum psychosis affects 1 to 2 in every 1,000 women. I put my pink shirt on. I had a different shirt on, then I saw that everyone was wearing pink, so I went quickly and changed, and I had. But does that blow your mind? And the awareness around ALS in large part came from that Ice Bucket Challenge that everyone was doing a couple of years ago. You lost your father to ALS too. Isn't it the most cruel? It steals everything from you until it finally takes your voice. Right? First your arms, then your legs, and then you can't get out of a chair. It is horrible. And then once your voice goes, then your organs shut down. It is cruel. It is horrific. Oh, you, Jackie too. Laura, Jackie, see how many people in here were affected by ALS? Stella says today's the 2-year anniversary of my friend's dad passing of ALS, right? Right. Stina says, but ALS affects men, so they care. I don't know. You think that's why? Some people spoke out. A lot of people. I don't know if anybody did a count. Many people affected. Family members affected with ALS and the amount of awareness that it received. And if nothing else can come from this trial, because really there's not a good outcome here. There's no good outcome. 3 children are dead. 3 children, 3 grandchildren. And here's, is this going to be Kevin Reddington getting up? Wait, no. Oh, here's Lindsay coming in the van that they are using to transport her to court. Oh, let's see this. I think that's Lindsay in the van. Somebody said to me the other day that there were a couple of people standing out for Lindsay a couple of days ago, and the sheriffs brought her in like the back door so she couldn't see. But does she come out of the van? Does anybody know? Did you guys watch this earlier? I was trying to get some sleep. I wonder if they were asked not to photograph her. ALS does affect women too. That's true. I think it's more rare in women, but let's see. If anybody's watching the feed on Law and Crime in real time, just let me know when they come into court if you don't mind. Good morning to the Pacific Northwest. This is a stand in peace for Lindsay outside a little bit earlier, outside the Plymouth Superior Courthouse. Everyone's wearing pink. Listen, Massachusetts residents know how to peacefully protest. And it is a phenomenon, I would submit to you, that started during the Karen Read trial. I don't know, were you guys standing out for anything before the Karen Read trials? What? Am I okay? It's 3 a.m. where I am right now, sweetie. It's 3 a.m. If I look tired to you or if I look like I've been crying a lot, it's because it's 3 a.m. and I must be lonely. According to Matchbox 20, but I'm fine. If somebody, oh, wait, here, hold on. Shred is outside of court. Okay, Shred. Let's see what he says. Hold on. Surprisingly, I have not been crying a lot during this trial. And you know me, I'm a crier.
You know, it's very moving for them. They don't forget it.
I can't hear it.
Mr. Reddington, what's your message to all these folks who are here today?
Thank you. That's all I can say. It's amazing.
We love you, Kevin.
Kevin, are you surprised at just how much attention this case has gotten? I mean, people are coming from Maine.
It's the message. It really is. It's the message that just has reverberated, you know, throughout the whole country.
What is that
Reddington's
message?
fighting for women's rights.
No, I
for
don't. You know,
healthcare.
I think that it's the mental health system.
That's Dina. That's Dina.
I hate to use the word health care because unfortunately in this case we can see it hasn't been health care, and I think that it shines a light on this issue. I mean, when a woman is going through what so many people do and they go to a doctor and the doctor says, you know, here, take this pill, take that pill, take this pill, and then they basically treat them for 15, 20 minutes and send them on their way. It's just not right.
And to those who can't wrap their heads around sympathizing with a mother who killed her 3 children, what do you say to them?
I think it's almost like when you're picking a jury and sometimes somebody will say, well, I don't agree with, you know, this allegation of murder. I mean, none of us do. But that's what we have juries for. They pass between the government and the defendant to see if they can prove their case.
Is she aware of this support, and what does she think of this support?
I'm going to go in and see her right now. I'm sure that she is, and if she isn't, she will be.
What do you think about?
She's so beat up and just so sad. But this will really help her out, I think. It's awesome.
Tell her we love her.
What do you think about
I
you
will.
being the advocate for all women right now?
I'm not an advocate.
You are. But you are. But you are.
Man, get to work.
But you are.
Busy man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
See, something like this would make me cry. Are you guys saying that I'm really puffy? That's how I feel like you're saying that I'm really puffy. I put some of the peptides on my under eyes. Because these are people who don't know Lindsay Clancy, but care about women's health and awareness and the children. That is something that would make me cry. People giving up their day. I mean, it's a weekday. Thursday, August 20th. Today's Thursday, August 20th, 2026. And good morning. Good morning. Dina is there. She just got on camera. She asked the question. Did you see? Or whatever her comment. She had a comment. Butterduck, thank you so much for your $50 super chat so early in the morning for me. When Dr. Laposada was testifying, why was the Commonwealth drilling her so hard on not having any trauma on the top of her skull, like blood, fractures, etc.? You're so classy. I love you. Keep on the firing line. Why were they drilling her so hard? Because they are trying to say that she did not dive out the window. They are trying to say that she hung outside the window and dropped to the ground. That's why the blood was on the side of the house, because they're trying to say that her suicide attempt was not real, that it was an alleged suicide attempt, that she really didn't want to kill herself. She just wanted to get rid of her children because she had no nanny anymore and she hated them very much. That's their theory, and it's gross. But I don't know, do they have an expert that's going to say that she Spider-Man'd down the outside of the house? What expert would risk their credibility to come in and say something like that? You have common sense. There's 11,173 people right now here in this chat. You're all reasonable people. for the most part. For the most part, reasonable people who waited 72 hours, you're on a 72-hour hold if you're new here to even come into the chat. That's how strict we are about keeping out the lunacy and the mean people. As a reasonable person, do you think it's more likely that she went out head first or feet first? Because if she went out feet first, likely she would have lower body extremity injuries to her legs, knees, feet, heels. She did not. But she did have a burst fracture in her cervical spine and several thoracic vertebral fractures, including a complete transection of the spinal cord. I mean, I don't know if you need a doctor to tell you that or an expert, but we did hear about her injuries. John DePietro asked Kevin this morning, what's your response to this turnout? Kevin responded, tears. Oh, really? Big cup of tea sipping. Thank you for your 5. Crayons and coloring books says the standout gives me the chills. So many women struggling in darkness. I know. And think about how many women out there are struggling right now with postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis. There are a lot of them. And you know how I know? Because I read my comments and I read my chat. And how many people, how many of those women might not know that we're here and they're watching on Law and Crime and they're reading those horrific comments thinking, oh, I can't tell anyone. That's what people are going to think of me. Sheebs a lot, says my sister had ALS, atrocious disease. Carrie, thank you for your 20. Says from one daughter to another, ALS took my stepdad. It was awful. I see you, Melanie. Oh, the worst, the worst. Sheebs a lot says my sister had bulbar ALS, speech and eating first in less than 3 years. I mean, it's been 10 years since my father died, but also around the time that he was diagnosed, I think it was around the time the ALS, or it was after he was diagnosed, that the Ice Bucket Challenge came or started. Charles says that stat can be read as 1 in 500 women that this is disgusting. Thank you, Charles. Dave's mom, thank you for your 20, says my grandmother passed from ALS in 1973. She was 53 years old. V. Grave says, with my second child, I swore I was hearing voices in the white noise machine. I was lacking sleep and very hormonal, also paranoid of snakes. I mean, if you did suffer from postpartum depression or psychosis, tell us in the chat or tell the other women in the chat who might be suffering right now what it is that helped you get through it. Because we learned yesterday from Dr. Zeisel a lot. Psychosis can be transient. It can wax and wane, meaning it can come and go. People who are in psychosis can be lucid 1 minute and in psychosis the next. I mean, the stories that you guys have been sending me are just heartbreaking. Many of you have said you heard the voices and you really thought the voices were real. And we heard Dr. Zeisel say that she thought the voices in her head were so loud that other people could hear them or read her thoughts. And that's why she stopped going to school, because she thought everyone would know and the teachers would know. Red's giant posters says, thanks for your commitment to this case and to your cupcakes. It must be so hard to be up at all hours. That's all right. I went to bed on the earlier side and I'm usually a night owl. So plus I'm on New York time still. I haven't let myself adjust to the time zone here yet, which helps. Buzzing for Truth says, forgiven Kevin, a cool name, K-Shred. This is such a great comment. Mama's Unraveling says, some folks don't understand that being compassionate to Lindsay doesn't take anything away from how people feel about the loss of the children. You can feel sad for all concerned in the tragedy, right? Crystal says, tell Lindsay we love her. K-Shred, I will. I didn't watch this whole pre-trial footage, but did Lindsay come out of that van? Did they show her? But I mean, all you need to do is go over there for 30 seconds and read the chat and you'll be nauseous. Oh, Look at this username. This is why you guys are called the Snark Tank. What about Father Bob? Thanks for your 5 says, if we all know this many with ALS, imagine how many more we know who had PPD. Very sobering, right? Right. Kiki says, women supporting other women, strangers supporting each other always makes me cry. Strangers stopping strangers just to shake their hands. There's a Grateful Dead quote for everything. Thanks, Kiki. Thanks, Elf, for gifting a membership. Oh, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Somebody said it looked like I was crying a lot. I was like, what? Thank you. Nick Indy says, in my opinion, hung by her feet as she went out the window. That explains the blood down the side of the house. Okay, let me submit something else to you. She was bleeding from her neck and her wrists, which we know she was because there was a lot of blood all over the floor in the bedroom. What if she hung out the window in hesitation as she was deciding how she was going to propel herself out the window? Couldn't that also explain the blood on the side of the house? We know there were hesitation marks on her wrists. Dr. La Posada told us that. That explained some of the puncture wounds on her wrists. Some other people pointed out that maybe the crushed meds in the lemonade or whatever it was on the nightstand could have been her sleep meds from the night before, right? Okay, so that was the end of that. Let's get to real time. Let's see where we are. Oh my gosh, girl with sunglasses is so funny. She sent me a TikTok. She's like, I have no words for this. Somebody on TikTok made a diorama using Bratz dolls. Okay, you can't make this up. If you know what Bratz dolls are, you know what I'm talking about. She dressed one Bratz doll as Lindsay and the other Bratz doll as Patrick, and she reenacted this whole thing. She had a little diorama made out of cardboard with the exact blood stains. And she has a whole theory about how he pushed her out the way. It's I have no words. The amount of time that people have on their hands is mind-numbing to me. Oh, there's Bob Mata right there, second row. Second row. The courtroom's a lot bigger than we knew. Look at they're showing the whole backside of the gallery right now. Or a few moments ago. Oh, wait, a few moments ago. Okay, here we go. I don't think they have audio. Is it me or do they have no audio? Because we heard audio earlier.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to jump in your shot.
I'm so sorry.
I'm here for everybody to get in front of my camera. So.
Maybe they didn't have it up in. I guess they don't have it up in the courtroom yet. Okay, good. It's not me. It's them. It is big. Look at all the rows. Look at all the pews behind. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on one side, and it looks like maybe 4 or 5 on the other. Behind the first row. And then there's a little aisle where the doors are, and then there's more rows on the right side than on the left side as you're facing the gallery. Oh, Tina's girl, did you see the Bratz doll exhibit? It was wild, right? It was wild. It's a packed house today. Word on the street is that the defense may be resting today, which means that the Commonwealth would start its case in rebuttal. And this is what you have to keep in mind. Now that the defense has shown some proof, some evidence of postpartum psychosis and a psychotic break, the burden now shifts to the prosecution. This is unusual. Not many states do this, but it's Massachusetts. What do you expect? The upside down, inside out Narnia. That is Massachusetts. And I love Massachusetts. No shade to Massachusetts. We have just come to find that their legal system is very different than many other states. The burden now shifts to the Commonwealth to prove that Lindsay Clancy was not in psychosis at the time of the killings, beyond a reasonable doubt. And in my opinion, they haven't shown that yet at all. So they've got a really heavy burden in their case in rebuttal with their experts. They have to prove to the jury beyond a reasonable doubt. That is the highest standard. You cannot have one doubt that she was suffering from psychosis. And I think that Dr. Labasada, Dr. Zeisel, Dr. Condi, those are the three experts that have testified so far, have shed a lot of reasonable doubt in this case, in my opinion. So let me know what you think. Sheepy says, so the Commonwealth is saying blood spatter doesn't matter in this case because she didn't try to commit suicide. Every woman should get the help they need. Blood spatter doesn't matter. I think I don't know what that whole blood spatter testimony was about, to be honest. If you could figure it out, let me know. What do you think they were trying to prove with the blood spatter expert? They've already called something like 72 witnesses. 72 witnesses. Yeah, so there's a burden shifting in Massachusetts. Most states, if you want to plead insanity, it's up to you to prove it. The burden's on the defense, usually, in many other cases that you might have watched, many trials, California, for example. The defense has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant was not sane at the time they committed the crime. It now shifts to the Commonwealth to prove it. I don't know if they've got the for lack of better term, experience to be able to prove it. These two that have been trying this case so far. What do you think? B in the 305 says, my precious family member was hospitalized twice. I know to speak up about it. So many women have it and don't talk about it. We must talk and advocate. Yes. Yes. Tiffany says, my dad passed away a week shy of the 1 year anniversary of his bulbar ALS diagnosis. 9/7/24, I guess is his date of birth. Oh, no, that's 9/7/24. I'm thinking like 1924. It's early. 2024. From a brain bleed, completely unexpected sequelae of the disease, and he could not speak so well. We had no idea until it was too late. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Patches for cupcakes, donating to Hawaii breakfast and help for empty nest. Oh, thanks. Same sky progress. I feel awful for the jurors who have to not only try and learn and understand PPD, but then contextualize it to this case and apply it to their verdict. Really, all they need to find is reasonable doubt about whether or not she had it. And if they have even one, if they say, well, maybe she had it, that's reasonable doubt. If they say, well, she might have had it, that's reasonable doubt. If they say, I can't decide if she had it or not, that's reasonable doubt. Backpacks, bows, lies, oh my. Thank you for your super sticker. Karma Compass 13, thank you so much for your $50. She or he says time and time again. It's a Counting Crows song. I also love the Counting Crows. This is a safe space for awareness and fighting for change. Hashtag badass. I don't have my badass affirmation deck, but I do have Tiny Mary. And look at this. Tiny Mary's also dressed in pink. Coincidence? There are no coincidences. Do you think there's such a thing as coincidence? Anybody ever read the Celestine Prophecy? Remember when that was a big deal? Thank you so much for your 50. And there was a workbook for Celestine Prophecy too. Perimenopause or menopause can also cause issues. I heard music. Oh, that's interesting, Yogi. Kimberly says your father would be so proud of you. Oh, I know. He's my biggest like fan, and I wasn't even doing YouTube at the time, just, in general. Your dad's always, your cheerleader, right? You're an amazing advocate for women. Love your life with all of my heart. Thank you, Kimberly. I love you. Heather says, I had PPOCD after my twins were born. I was afraid to leave their side as I was afraid they would stop breathing. It's very common. It's very common. My hubby had to intervene when I started sleeping on the floor between their cribs. Very common. Thank you, Heather. Jane said, I had intrusive thoughts of driving into a brick wall. My daughter is 29 and the most amazing woman today. Meds saved me. Listen, Jane, do you think that's why Lindsay stopped driving? Because the intrusive thoughts were so loud? that she thought I better not drive because these voices are now telling me to drive into a wall? Do you think that's why somebody Googled how to turn off the airbags in a Kia Sorento? Friend of Dog gifted 10 memberships because she's awesome. She's awesome. Memberships are randomly distributed by YouTube. I have nothing to do with it. So if you're a lucky winner, thank Friend of Dog. Kelly says, I hope and pray the ADA saw this huge support for Lindsay. Do you think they care? I mean, yeah, I know what you're saying, but do you think they care? I don't think they have one shred of, I don't know. My words for them are lost. Integrity. Let's go with integrity. Okay. Because a prosecutor with integrity tries to find the truth. It should be a search for the truth, shouldn't it? These two want a conviction. They really think this is going to skyrocket their career to the next level. And I'm here to tell you that I think it's going to do the opposite. I think they're going to tank their careers after this. Let me know what you think. RN Mindy says, L&D RN with a history of PPD and PPP. I had intrusive thoughts of throwing my infant son down the stairs. It was the scariest time of my life. That too is a very common intrusive thought that I've heard from women. Throwing down the stairs. And that is so effing scary. Big cup of tea sip and says, Reddington told DePetro that he's planning to call Resnick on Friday via Zoom. Okay, good. He also asked Reddington what it's like to be a senior citizen heartthrob. If you don't know who John DePetro is, look him up. He's a troublemaker. Slash journalist from Rhode Island. Thanks for your 5. Jackie says, friend almost drove 3 kids into the lake having no clue it would be harmful. There you go. That is exactly the jury instruction. If you find that the defendant had a mental disease or defect that prevented her from knowing that what she was doing was against the law, or was unable to prevent herself from doing it. There it is. And those are exactly the questions that Kay Shred asked Dr. Zeisel. And that was his opinion. That indeed she was suffering from a mental disease or defect that would prevent her from appreciating the illegality of those acts or the inability to stop. She says she spent 1 month at McLean and cured and was a great mom 25 years ago. Could have been a headline. Just luck she got help. And listen, I've been saying this too. If Lindsay's dive out the window was successful, would we all be sitting here talking about PPP, like PPP sucks? Like, I can't believe she was so affected by postpartum psychosis that she did this to her children and then killed herself. And it would be like, case closed. Everyone would believe it. But because she survived, there are people out there who just don't believe that it was real. And the prosecutors are perpetuating that. That's their theory. Thanks for sharing, Jackie. Mixed Chick, thank you for your 20. Says, good morning. I had family that didn't believe in PPD and told me something was wrong with me. Women, trust your bodies and feelings. Yes, 100%. You know your body better than anyone. Don't let anyone make you think you're crazy. There's always someone out here that understands. Thank you, Mixed Chick, for telling it like it is. Beth in the 305 says, I look new moms in the eyes and ask, how is she doing? Strangers and friends, we are part of the solution. Right. We Are Charlie, 1971, says she is on trial for surviving psychosis. That is such a great way to put it. Charlie from Down Under says, don't forget that during Karen Reed's trials, the prosecution was trying to tell everyone that Isaac Newton was wrong. Oh, that's right. Physics are not a thing. Kristen says, women's health is a disgrace. It wasn't until 1993 that clinical trials by law needed to include women. Let that sink in. Wait, is that real? Is that real? It wasn't until 1993 that clinical trials needed to include women. I didn't know that. And I guess it shouldn't shock me, but it does. Oh, thank you, Cece. You rock. Emily Baker 5054 became a new member. Welcome, Emily. V. Graves says, what helped me through firm belief in Jesus Christ, the God that would never put something in front of me to destroy me. No meds, huh, V? Good to know. Lawtube's most hated mod is here, and he's just saying, God. Good morning. Good morning, peeps. Keep it classy. Yeah, try. It's already on slow mode, and I'm going to keep it like that so that it's not too crazy for you. Let me know if it gets crazier. That's the good thing about being a member. Like Jessica, she knows what's up. Slow mode doesn't affect you. But when there's, there historically in this chat for the past couple of days has been over, 24,000 people in here at a time. So the mods are out there doing the Lord's work. I don't think Law and Crime has moderators, but maybe that's why it is the way it is. Jen says, when I had PPP medication and never being alone, parents and husband took turns for 6 weeks to keep me in reality. Thank you. Teresa wants to know if Kevin Reddington is calling Patrick Clancy. I don't know. It's a rumor, but I don't know if it's true. He can, if he wants to, call him back to the stand in his case in chief. Will he? I don't know. Does he need to? I don't know. I guess we'll see when we see. But if it's true that he's not having Dr. Resnick testify until tomorrow, that means he won't be resting today. So we'll see how long we go today. Maybe a half a day again, or a half day. Welcome, RALB. Thank you for being a member for 19 months. Same Sky Progress says, I have faith in Red to tie it together on close and in the judge to reiterate the jury instructions effectively. Thank you, Melanie, for your empathy. You're welcome. Oh, wait, sometimes we need to bring in our friend Afro Man to say it for us. If you didn't watch that trial with me, what were you doing at that time?
You're welcome.
That was a palate cleanser trial. That was fantastic. Thank you. The charge conference in this case is going to be really important. If you don't know what a charge conference is, it's when the attorneys have a conference with the judge to talk about jury instructions. They each get to submit a set of instructions that they would like the judge to read. Some of them they agree on, some of them they don't. Some of the wording they want to tweak. And the judge is the final decider in what the jury instructions will be. We have read the jury instruction on criminal responsibility a number of times. Medic Mama says, critical care medic, never had anxiety or depression until I had my children. I was so ashamed about it. I would have been more open to help if it was normalized. That's a great point. Hopefully after this trial, that's all going to change. I think this trial is historical in a lot of ways. And that's one of them. And this trial has really blown up. It is so much more widespread, I think, even than Karen Reed was, because it affects everyone. So many healthcare providers are watching. I see you in the chat. I know who you are. Nurses, doctors, therapists, social workers, clinicians. People are watching this worldwide. And even it's spanning generations too. Like my kids and their friends are also watching the trial, which is something that they didn't really do with Karen Reed. Younger women, women that are just graduating high school and in college, like they've taken a big interest in this trial. Charles says, I have 2 daughters and 2 grandchildren, 4 and 2. My eldest is pregnant 4 months. I will arrange special care when the baby is born. You're amazing, Charles. You're amazing. She's also following the trial. This trial will change this whole sad situation. Thank you, Charles, for always being here from South Africa. RAL B, thank you for your super sticker. Sinead, welcome. Music to my soul. Says, thanks for working hard to balance covering this case with your personal life. Streaming at 3 a.m. can't be easy. I hope all's going well with moving your daughter into college. It is. Thank you. Terry Sue said, I pray this trial brings PPD, PPS to light. Thanks for being here, Terry Sue, for a year. AM Jesus, thanks for all your knowledge, Melanie. Oh, thank you guys for being interested in what I have to say. I saw what you did there. So says, I've been with you since Maya Kowalski. Yep. Thanks for being here for 8 months. You guys, I couldn't do this without you for being, here and for being interested. Michelle Giannotti became a member. Welcome, Michelle. I think you're going to like it here. Dunk became a member. Welcome. Good morning, Dina Jam, who's been here for 29 months. I love you so much. And Sue W, 22 months. Good morning. You guys are fiercely loyal, and I love that so much about you. Karen Lisk has been here for 22 months. You see what I'm saying? Karen Lisk was boots on the ground at Edric Foss trial. Were you there every single day, Karen? Many days she was there. You guys are cupcakes on the ground in the courtroom. And I love you so much. Laura says, Melanie, I really appreciate what you're doing for us. 3 a.m. is a very early start. Please wish your baby an amazing freshman year. Thank you. It's bittersweet. It's my 5th child of 5 for dropping off. And they say it gets easier with each kid. That's a lie. That's a lie. Not true. Fake news. Thank you so very much. We are waiting for court to start. And why so late, you ask? It's already 9:41 on the East Coast. We never know. We don't know. He did call a sidebar, right? Right away. Julie, thanks for your Venmo. She says, as hard as this trial is, we are all learning a lot. True. Dr. Lisa through Venmo says, thanks so much for covering this. Love your channel. I can't be, okay, thank you so much. Betsy is here. She says, you rock per usual. XOXO, XOXO, Betsy. Maureen, thank you very much for your $50 Venmo. Just as for LINDSAY CLANCY, thank you. So sweet. Michelle. Oh, yes, I did hear about this. Michelle says, thanks for covering this while you're away. Did you hear about the police officers passing in Worcester? Yes. They're my former neighbors. I would have never imagined. Has she been apprehended? The woman that they were looking for I think it's his wife. Last I heard, there was a manhunt for her, a bolo. Word on the street, and again, I can't confirm this, so I'm just saying I'm telling you what I heard, is that it could have been like a DV type situation, like a Lucy Medina type situation, that it was maybe self-defense, but I don't even know actually if she's even been apprehended. They said she was a person of interest. She's a person of interest. Angela, thank you so much. This was from yesterday. Lindsay's body language and facial expressions today scream bipolar mania, which would make sense to be brought on after the extreme emotional stress she's been under. I do think she feels comfortable and safe with the doctor. Understand, but I'm thinking this could also be mania. Could be. Heather says, thanks for the amazing coverage of the Clancy case. I'm an attorney in Massachusetts, and this case makes me so angry. A lot of attorneys watch. A lot of nurses. I love my nurses. Shout out to my nurses. If the nurses are watching, tell me where you are. I know the Brigham nurses are here, and I know the South Shore nurses are here, and also I know that the MGH nurses are here, many of whom worked with Lindsay. Thanks for becoming a member. KLM, Kevin Reddington said to Fox, long day doing Commonwealth, 3 experts today, and he has one on Zoom tomorrow, close on Monday. Oh, that's interesting that they're going to let him split up his case in chief, unless he's getting a rebuttal also. All right, so we'll see what happens. Thanks for the inside information. Dunk says, I just joined Cupcake Land. Hi, Mom, and Court, and Lynn. Shout out. Tell him to come on over and join us and watch. Needham says, can Kevin Reddington have testimony of Patrick Clancy read back in his rebuttal case? That's a great question. Generally, I will tell you that for jurors, the Massachusetts courts do not allow readbacks, which is very strange to me because I'm in New York and I've practiced in New York for over 30 years. And anytime a jury has a question and they say, we'd like to hear the testimony of Patrick Clancy again, they bring them into the courtroom and the court reporter reads it back to them. To me, that's the way it should be, because if they have to rely on their notes, imagine, my note taking is terrible. People would be arguing about what their notes meant and what they think Patrick said. Isn't it more important that they get it right? But I don't know if he can just have the testimony read back during his case in chief. That is a great question. And if there's any Massachusetts attorneys, Heather, if you're here, let me know if that's something you can do. Hawkwife became a member. Welcome. Massachusetts rules are a little iffy, so I don't want to give you the wrong info. Cavalier Mom, Mass, became a member. Welcome. Law and Disorder gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Elizabeth Grace says, I appreciate you so much, Melanie, in chat. She's been here for 10 months. The gobbledygook of the Commonwealth says, I had 3 children, 2 right away. And 10 years later, my last, I had PPD with him. I had an awesome doctor that listened and a family that took all of them so I could sleep and breathe. It takes a village. It does. And listen, back in the day, 100 years ago, or 200 years ago, 300 years ago, there was more family type communal living, where generations all lived together under the same roof. And so there was much more help available to the mom. And I just, I think of Outlander because, that's what I'm watching right now. All right, this is really annoying me. Look, I have a little. Isn't that cute? All right, maybe that'll help. Because I keep playing with my hair and people saying, why do you always play with your hair? Stop playing with your hair. I had 3 children, 2 right away, and 10 years later, my last. I PP'd. Yeah, it takes a village. That was my point. It takes a village. It does. I had PPP and PPD. Thankful my child and I are still here, says Justice is my bias. Thank you for being here for 27 months. Seems like juror issues per X, says Pink Crown. All right, there we go. I'll figure it out. We're thankful you're here too. Thanks for being here for 27 months. In fact, Steph says, my pink is on from Arkansas. My wife suffered PPP. Love you, Mel. Standing with Lindsay, even though I'm far away. Thank you, Steph. Mama Beth says, the last kid is the hardest to flee the nest, to fly the nest. I know. Oh, Schmoopy says, thank you, Mel, for taking your time out with your daughter to be with us. Well, here's the thing. She's got stuff to do all day anyway. And right now it's 3 a.m. So this really worked in my favor schedule-wise. What's going on with, what's his name? Gerhard Koenig? Because, that's a Honolulu trial. If he gets retried, I could come back for that. Huge juror issue, says Chris Thompson. Huge. Oh, Schmoopy. You know how much I love a Seinfeld quote. Please put the husband's fundraising link in the comments so we can donate. I don't know that her husband has it. I think there's a fundraiser for Lindsay's parents, but I don't know that it's real, so I'm not going to put it in there. All the jurors are being interviewed. Oh. Allie says maybe the ADAs are questioning the jury to see if it affected them. Oh, so they're questioning the jurors right now. Questioning the jurors. Jeff says, does the defense get a rebuttal also? Sometimes, I guess, in Massachusetts. I guess sometimes. Sue O'Connell said they're calling each juror up. Oh. I mean, I don't know, Jeff, if they're taking that witness out of turn because of scheduling, or if that will indeed be a rebuttal. And he's being called specifically to rebut one of the Commonwealth's rebuttal witnesses. That could be possible. It's like, after a motion and then an opposition and then a reply, and sometimes you're allowed a surreply. Does he have to ask for special dispensation? I don't know. I guess we'll learn more about it. Maybe the judge will give the jury an instruction, like he'll tell us, we have to take this witness out of turn, or he'll say, now the defense is going to put on a rebuttal case. Charlie says, Australia used to have mothers and babies clinics and units in every state run by OB nurses and older mothers. New mothers could walk in and ask anything, shut down by the government to save money. Carrie, thanks for becoming a member. Donna says, thank you for getting up early. I'm a night owl, so it kind of tracks. Amanda became a member. Somebody said that Shannon with one end Buckingham looked like Ben Franklin the other day with that ponytail, and now I can't unsee it. I'll allow it. Sai says, Bob Mata X explains what's going on right now. Something's going on. Patrick, Kevin's attorney's son, left the courtroom and came back in and delivered a message to who? To RE. They are still up at sidebar from Bob Mata. Oh, Aiden Carney's on his way to his deposition. Yay, yay. One more thing that he can check off his list of things to do. Both court ladies are wearing pink today. What? Curly Jones says, we still have those walk-in community clinics in Western Australia. They appear to only be talking to 3 jurors, not all of them, says Reddington's drawer. Reddington's drawer. I do not think this is going to be a quick deliberation. I do not think so. In fact, I have been predicting a hung jury since the beginning because I just don't see how 12 people are ever going to agree based on the public division in this case. That people who think she's evil and should rot in hell, no matter what she may or may not have been suffering of, just are going to never bend, and vice versa. So I think it's going to be hard. Will 12 people be able to agree? I just don't know. I just don't know. Oh, you think the jurors might be questions regarding the, I don't know. I mean, we could speculate till kingdom come, but it could be anything. Remember the jurors in Karen Reed were questioned because one of them said something to another one, like, why aren't you taking any notes? Why aren't you paying attention? Something like that. And so they were all questioned. Bob Mata just tweeted, someone just got sworn in at the sidebar, a female. Now 3 of the jurors have also sworn in at the side of the bench. Maybe they've been discussing the case and they're not supposed to. Is that possible? We don't know. Will we find out? Probably not. Gina became a member. Welcome. Mac MSN and Khaleesi says, it may be 3 a.m., but you're not lonely. So many grateful people here as you bring a spotlight to women's mental health. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know this was going to turn out the way it did, but I'm really glad it did. DK said, my daughter had PPD real bad. She thought somebody was going to steal the baby. She had moved home during the panty, and I recognized her symptoms. Thank God, D. You're such a good mom. She denied anything wrong, so I called her doctor. Listen, how many of you are moms out there of daughters who are going to be having babies soon or already have babies and didn't really know that this was a thing and now are going to be able to see the signs? If just we can save just one mom, just one family, if we could save just one family, watching this very, oftentimes gruesome trial that is so hard to watch for so many of us powering through will have been worth it. You're a great mom, D. And thanks for being here for 34 months. Jubes became a member, and Jubes became a member again because maybe you upgraded your membership. Notice how much I love music and I think in song lyrics. Yes, that's what we just heard, that 3 jurors have been sworn in at sidebar. All of my levels of membership are sections in a concert venue. General admission, floor seats, VIP, backstage. I think there's 4 levels. I don't even know. It's been so long since I set them up. Oh, here we go.
We're going to be in a short recess, and we're going to bring the jury back in, and we'll call the next witness. Okay?
Good. All right.
Could it be possible that I don't really need to boost it that much today? That sounded very loud to me compared to me. Was it? Am I lower than the court feed?
All right.
That's court. That's me. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. I gotta sleep longer. It's all right. You guys are here. And we're having fun so far. I wonder if somebody saw the Bratz doll reenactment on TikTok, the diorama. I mean, it's crazy. And it's really a long video too. Wicked Snark says, to think that Andrea Yates' case was 25 years ago, yet we still have so much ignorance around PPP and PPD. You're a champion, Mel. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't even deserve any credit. It's you guys. It's you guys that are coming in here, 20,000+ people a day listening to this trial with me. And it's you guys. Gina, thanks for your 5. Comer K says, Ruth Miller, the Amish mother who drowned her 4-year-old son in Ohio, was experiencing severe mental health crisis and spiritual delusions at the time. That body cam footage of the first responders was chilling. In March of 2026, she had a bench trial and was found not guilty by reason of insanity. That's right. And you know why? The prosecutor in that case had a heart, understood, he got it. I don't think that had anything to do with postpartum psychosis, but there was definitely psychosis because the child that she drowned was 4 years old. And she said he went to God. I brought him to God. And clear psychosis. You could see it in the video. And the prosecutor had a heart. So the defense had an expert evaluate her. The prosecution had an expert evaluate her, and both experts agreed. And so they opted for a bench trial. They submitted papers. It was all done on papers. There was no testimony. Maybe there was some Zoom testimony by the doctors. And the judge found her not guilty by reason of insanity very quickly. We watched that hearing. And she was confined to a mental hospital. And that's the way it should work, in my opinion. But that's not the way they like it in Plymouth County. They want the credit. They want their flowers. They want the celebration. But there's no winners here. Okay, there are no winners. This is not a trial that you can win no matter what. Good Citizen Weymouth says that the news leaked that one juror was let go, then removed it. Oh, so they took it down? Yeah, they're not really allowed to talk about the jurors. They're not allowed to photograph the jurors. If I remember the one day that I went to the Karen Reed trial with Mark Betterow, trial number 1, June 14th, it was the Jessica Hyde testified that day. But what happened in the morning, what had happened was 3 jurors were called to sidebar. They were questioned by accident. I don't remember if it was Court TV or Law and Crime or Boston 25 or Boston 10. I don't remember who was the pool camera that day, but by accident, they got one of the jurors on camera, and Judge Canoni slammed her fist on the desk, metaphorically, of course, and shut off the cameras for the rest of the day. So I remember my phone blowing up from people like Ali Mata, who's like, why did they shut the cameras off? Why did they shut the cameras off? And we couldn't even look at our phones in court, so I didn't find out until the break, and we didn't know that they shut the cameras off. Well, I don't even know if she announced it in open court. But that was why, because they caught a juror on camera. So speculation. Thanks for being here for 21 months. I'd love to buy Lindsay an electric wheelchair, says Charles. Thank you, Charles. You're very sweet. You're a very sweet man. Bonnie, Scotland. Oh, Bonnie. Bonnie. PPD started when my son was 3 months old. 1 year later, went to a doctor, said I was depressed. Never told me about PPD. I trusted him because he's the doctor. Gave me lots of different meds over the years, made me worse. 27 years later, I'm positive it ruined my brain. I'm sorry, Bonnie. Do I agree? Oh, no, we'll get to that, Jeff. Kay shredded the bows. Oh, that is so good. Kay shredded the bows. You guys are genius. You can change your username through your YouTube channel. Even if you think you don't know the channel, you do, because you have a username. You can change it. And here's a great example. Kay shredded the bows. In my opinion, Lindsay must have and still does feel so alone in this. I just want her to know she isn't alone anymore. We've got you. You're so sweet. Steph Reed, thank you for your super sticker. D. Coco Chanel became a member. Welcome. Iron Dog says they're probably questioning the jury in regarding to witness intimidation because of the crowds. An officer warned the crowd when Bob Motter was out there. Warned them about what? Staying quiet and not. Do they bring the jury in that way? Because usually the jurors are brought in through a back door, so I don't know. Law and Disorder said, weren't all the jurors already sworn in? Yes, but they have to be sworn in if they're going to give testimony at the side of the bench. Again, Again, because they swore the oath for jurors is different. The oath for jurors isn't, they're not swearing to tell the truth, right? Because they're just jurors, not just jurors. Listen, it's the most important job in the courtroom, if you ask me. And listen, if you get jury duty, please serve. Please serve. We need more reasonable people on juries. So that's the answer to that. Jen says, 20 years ago, Tom Cruise went on the Today Show and told the world that PPD isn't real. The struggle to be believed is timeless. Enjoy the sunrise. Oh, thank you for tuning in from Canada, Jen. I forgot about that. Steph Reed said, Mel Fox 25 is reporting there is a sea of people outside court wearing pink. I'm wondering if they're afraid jurors saw them. We showed a bit of that footage in the beginning. If you weren't here for that, I'm going to rewind. I'm going to put it on mute. So here's the people that are doing a peaceful stand in peace for Lindsay. This was earlier this morning, as caught by the law and crime pool camera. Oh, KKUC 6030 says, I wish jury duty was a full-time paying job. I love jury duty. Have you guys watched the Amazon Prime TV series Jury Duty? It is one of the best TV shows ever. Ever. So good. Word Matters became a member. Here for Justice says, your voice rocks. It's almost midnight here in Australia, and I'm trying to stay up. Got to work at 7 a.m., but FOMO's keeping me up a bit longer. I'm sorry, but it sounds, who knows how long it's going to take for them to decide what to do. Jury Duty's so good, right? Funniest show ever. It was so good. I don't even want to spoil the premise of it for anyone, but I'll just tell you this. Jury Duty is an Amazon Prime series. I think it was maybe 8 or 10 episodes about a guy who thinks that he has jury duty. But in reality, everyone else in the courtroom, all the other jurors, the judge, all the lawyers, every single person in the courtroom down to the bailiffs are all actors. And so it was unscripted because they couldn't decide where the plot was going to go depending on how this guy behaved. What was his name? He was so good. Ronald. It was heartwarming. It was funny. It was everything. It was everything, that show. If you haven't watched it, highly recommend if you need to watch. You didn't like the TV show Jury Duty, says Mrs. Bouquet. You didn't like it? Why didn't you like it? I thought it was so good. Yeah, we can explain why court hasn't started yet, because they called a couple of jurors up to sidebar. They were sworn in and questioned. We do not know any more than that. You think season 2 is better than season 1 of Jury Duty? The new series, there's one where, because they couldn't do the jury one again because the secret was out. There's a new one where there's a guy who thinks he's a temp worker and has to go to camp with them all. Yeah, some sort of corporate retreat. Fun fact about me and the TV show Jury Duty, I auditioned for that show. Many of you may know that I'm also an actor and was really pursuing my acting career before the panty. And the day the world shut down, I auditioned for Bull, and that was my dream show. I really wanted to be on Bull because I'm I could play a lawyer on TV. I've auditioned for Law and Order, all of them, several times. I'm not wearing a bow today. It's a little flower clip I got because when in Hawaii. So I auditioned for the TV show Jury Duty to be the plaintiff's lawyer, and I can tell you a little bit about it because my NDA is expired because the show's already aired. There were no sides. Usually they give you sides, which is portions of a script that you have to tape and send in. It was an assignment, and it was pretend that you are defending John Wilkes Booth. Prepare and deliver your closing argument. So great. I thought it was great. And I was so bummed that I didn't get it because it wound up being nominated for Emmys, and I would have been able to go to the Emmys as a cast member. It would have been so awesome. I didn't think that he was made fun of. I didn't think that the guy, I can't remember his name, Ronald. I didn't think that he was made fun of. Somebody said I don't like shows where people are made fun of, even if especially if they're not in on the joke. Chronically Curious says the class and finesse Reddington brings to the courtroom is matched by the empathy, insight, and knowledge you bring to YouTube, Melanie. Thank you for being my trial buddy these past 17 days. Well, thank you so much for coming in. If you are new to the channel with this trial, put a 1 in the chat. If you've never watched my channel before until the Lindsay Clancy trial, I'm just so interested to know how many are new. Hold, please. I just got to grab my coffee and it's all the way over there. Wow. Look how many new viewers. Look how many new cupcakes. That's amazing. Wow. I love it. So many of you also have told me this is the first trial you've ever watched, that you were not a trial watcher before this, but you're so interested in this particular case that you'll be hooked now. You'll be hooked because it's addictive. Wow. I love it. Welcome. Yes. Desiderata says now is a good time to remind you to hit that like button. It's free. Thank you for reminding me. I think it's time we have another reading of one of my favorite poems. Many of you may not be familiar with it, but it is something that was hanging in my parents' house when I was growing up. And I think it is words of wisdom that we can all live by. God knows some people need them. Am I right? While we wait for court to come back, if you don't know about Desiderata, I'm going to lay it on you now. It's a poem written by Max Ehrmann in 1920. Wait, what's the date? No, it was not the 1920s. I think it was, I don't have the date in front of me right now. Somebody will find out. Maybe Desiderata knows, because that's her username. We're waiting for them to come back. I'm going to put it on the screen so you can screenshot it in case you ever need to refer back to it. Word Matter says, I can't chat because I was somehow unsubbed. As a disabled woman, the misunderstanding prosecution is showing is the hardest part of medical suffering. The misunderstanding the prosecution is showing is the hardest part of medical suffering. If people come in and they're like, why are we doing this? Why is court not on? Just let them know they're not on a break. Maybe the judge has to look up some law. All right, here it is. Since I don't have my motivational calendar with me, Desiderata. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. They're coming back. Avoid loud. Oh, they're back. Sorry. We'll come back to it later. Here, wait, screenshot it in case you want to read it to yourself and you don't want to hear me dramatically read it. But really, it is such a great poem. It is words of wisdom, and it is timeless. All right, they're back. We're going back to court.
All right. Counsel, we ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Bring them in.
K-Shred has a bit of a scowl on today, and I'm not sure why. Maybe some jurors were dismissed.
All rise, please. committee, all persons having anything to do before the Honorable William Sullivan, Justice of the Superior Court, now sitting in Plymouth, within the Commonwealth. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Massachusetts, court is now in session. Please be seated.
Yes.
Before the court today, we have a continuation of the jury trial matter Commonwealth versus LINDSAY CLANCY. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington. The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Hutton.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you again. I know I just spoke to you probably about 10 minutes ago. But again, I want to ask you those questions, then we'll talk a little bit about what our schedule is today and for the rest of the week. All right, so first question, has any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source about any aspect of this case that would affect your ability to be fair and impartial as a juror? Next, is there any other serious matter or concern bearing on your service as a juror that anybody needs to bring to my attention at this time? All right. Again, thank you for following those instructions. And then in regards to our schedule today, you're allowed to kind of roll your eyes because I'm going to say we're going to have kind of a short day today. All right. And that is, as I talked to you yesterday about an issue that has nothing to do with any of the attorneys in this case. All right. It's just something we're going to work out and I anticipate it will be worked out so that tomorrow you should count on a lengthier day. All right. I've talked to counsel earlier this morning in regards to where we are in regards to the schedule and the timeline. We are still, if not on schedule, still ahead of schedule. All right. And this delay that we may have a little bit this afternoon won't affect that. All right. So I just kind of wanted to let you know that I appreciate. I know you came in here this morning. It's going to be a short day, but also gear up for a longer day tomorrow. Okay. And so with that, the other thing is I told you it's got nothing to do with any of the attorneys, but it's also or the parties. So you're not to speculate about what this might be. It's also you're not to hold it against either of the parties in regards to this. All right. If you're going to hold it against anybody, you can hold it against me. All right. So with that, we're going to return now to the evidence in this case. And Attorney Reddington.
Thank you. Sheila Cavanaugh, please.
The courtroom is packed. It's packed. Short day today. Could mean anything. SHIELA CAVANAUGH, is this the chaplain from the hospital? Great question. She says, Fiction Blue says, why was Zeisel allowed to testify to the ultimate issue? Because that's his opinion. That's why experts are hired to give an opinion about the ultimate issue. But the phrasing of the questioning was pulled from the jury instructions, which is what every seasoned trial lawyer will do. So those words about in the jury instructions are already in the jury's mind. And when they hear them again, they're going to say, oh, that's what Dr. Zeisel said his opinion was, right? It's the chaplain.
Good morning. Just face Madam Clerk, raise your right hand, please.
All right. Well, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right. I just ask you to speak into that microphone and keep your voice up so the jury can hear you. Attorney Reddington.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you tell us your name and spell your last name, please?
My name is SHIELA CAVANAUGH, CAVANAUGH.
And what town do you live in?
I live in the town of Belmont, Massachusetts.
And what are you doing for work now?
I am a board certified chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston.
And I didn't know that there were board certified chaplains. What does that mean?
Well, to become board certified, you need minimally a master's degree in theology or divinity. You need to complete 1,600 hours of training post your master's degree. 1,200 of those hours are occur in a clinical setting, and 400 of those hours are in a classroom setting where we study various disciplines: psychology, sociology, philosophy, theology, and ethics. Beyond that training, we need to acquire 2,000 hours of additional clinical training before we can even apply for board certification. And we have to demonstrate mastery of 30 competencies before we go to a national board and they make the assessment. I also need an ecclesiastical endorsement. And in my case, that was from the Archdiocese of Boston, from Cardinal Sean O'Malley.
And before you obtained the board certification in your education to allow you to be a chaplain, what did you do for work?
Prior to becoming a chaplain, which is a second career for me, I was a senior vice president at Fidelity Investments in Boston.
And how long were you senior VP at Fidelity?
16 years.
And are you married?
I am.
You have a family?
I do. My husband and I are the parents of 4 adopted children. When I was pursuing my master's degree at Boston College, it was a 3-year master's, but it took me 5 years because we adopted our 4th child while I was in graduate school. She was a 14-year-old girl from Bogota, Colombia.
And how long have you been working now as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital?
7 years.
In the course of your duties as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital, did circumstances bring you in contact with LINDSAY CLANCY?
Yes, they did.
Can you tell the jurors what happened?
I arrived on the morning of Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. I arrived at approximately 8:30 that morning because I was there to relieve the overnight chaplain who was carrying the pager. I was taking over the pager shift, which went from 9 to 1 p.m., although I was working a full day. When I arrived that morning, she said to me, "Did you hear the news?" And I...
Well, okay, so...
Sustained.
Okay.
So you can't, you got to object, so you can't say what someone told you, okay? That's called hearsay?
Okay.
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 So I can say, as a result of the conversation with that person, what happened?
I was summoned to the director of spiritual care's office.
Did you have a conversation with her?
I did.
All right. And as a result of that conversation, what did you do?
I went to Unit 8C in the Tower building of Brigham to meet with LINDSAY CLANCY.
And what time of day was this?
Roughly between 8:30 and 9:30 that morning.
And when you went in to see LINDSAY, what did you observe?
Well, the unit itself was filled with law enforcement officers, both outside the doors of the unit. There was Brigham security, but the unit itself was flooded. There were people from Plymouth County, Boston City Police, Brigham security. So I had to make my way through concentric circles of law enforcement to even get to the room. I was permitted to see LINDSAY, although she could not speak at that time.
And what was her condition that you observed?
She was dressed in medical armor. She had tubes. She was intubated. She had bandages. She had a neck brace. She was just covered and layered in equipment that enabled her to breathe.
I'm showing you Exhibit 121 and asking, this may be South Shore, or it could be Brigham and Women's, but is this indicative of what she appeared to be when you first saw her?
That looks like it's from South Shore because when,
Sure.
yes.
Did she have the same?
Similar.
Very similar?
Very similar.
Like that?
Yes, very similar.
Did you see her again on another date?
I did. I saw her the next day. Again, she could not speak. She was intubated as well. That was the first week that she was hospitalized.
When was the next time that you saw her?
The next time I saw her was the following week. I have a calendar here of my visits. I saw her on Tuesday, January 31st, and she had been extubated at that point so she could speak.
So the tube had been removed. She was able to communicate, and that was on January 31st?
I believe she was extubated the weekend of the 28th, but I didn't work that weekend, so I saw her on Tuesday, the 31st.
All right. Tell the jurors what you observed and what, if any, conversation you had with Lindsay on the 31st. And let me ask you, how long had it been that they removed the tube?
Perhaps a day or two.
A day or two. Okay. Tell the jurors what she said to you.
She continued to look like the photograph you just saw. She was covered, tubes everywhere, the neck brace. Her emotional state was very neutral, a flat affect. But I remember vividly the first thing she said to me. Now, she had heard me for a couple of days. We had been praying together. And so when I went in on Tuesday, the 31st, she said to me as I held her hand to comfort her, "I am so glad my children are safe."
Was there any other
That's a mic drop moment. I am so glad my children are safe. I want her to get into this more, but there is something that happens in psychosis where people think that by killing their children, they are saving them, giving them to God, right? And she did say in her lawsuit, she said, as she strangled each child, go to God, baby, right? Go to God, baby. We've read it several times. Was it a mercy killing? Or was she still in a delusion thinking that her children were still alive and she was so glad they were safe? I need to hear more. I need to know more. I need to hear more. Hold on, let's hear that again. This woman has such a beautiful, calming presence, and she was praying with her, and that's the first thing she said to her. Let's take it back. Don't worry, that's what we do here.
Like the photograph you just saw, she was covered, tubes everywhere, the neck brace. Her emotional state was very neutral, a flat affect. But I remember vividly the first thing she said to me. Now, she had heard me for a couple of days. We had been praying together. And so when I went in on Tuesday, the 31st, she said to me as I held her hand to comfort her, "I am so glad my children are safe."
Was there any other conversation that you had with her?
I replied theologically to Lindsay, and I said, "Lindsay, your children are safe. They're safe in heaven with God." And I held her hand throughout that conversation, and we prayed for them.
Did she make any other statements to you?
She did. She alluded to having heard a voice, and the voice, according to Lindsay, told her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe.
And did she indicate whether it was a male voice, a female voice, loud, soft?
She alluded to the fact that it was a male voice and it was persistent.
Any further conversation that you recall about that, not about general things, but, you know?
That came up several times. I visited Lindsay minimally 14 times while she was hospitalized at the Brigham, and the voice conversation came up several times during several of our visits.
Now, after Lindsay was transferred or cleared to go from Brigham and Women's Hospital, did she go to another facility?
She did. She went to Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital.
And do you know when that was?
That was roughly late February, perhaps around the 23rd.
And did you continue to see Lindsay at Spalding Rehab?
I did.
Do you know when she left Spalding Rehab?
In the late March, early April time frame, perhaps.
Okay. Now, Brigham and Women's Hospital and Spalding Rehab are under the same umbrella of hospitals. Is that right?
They are. So Brigham and Women's Hospital and Spalding Rehab are under the Mass General Brigham complex. So for me to visit Lindsay in Spalding, I was still within the same hospital complex, and her psychiatrist at Spalding, as well as the chaplains, advised me to continue.
You can't say what anybody told you.
Oh,
So when she was discharged from Spalding Rehab, where did she go?
she went to Tewksbury State Hospital.
And fair to say that that would be back around February. It's been a little more than 3 years, or 3.5 years.
Yes.
Is that correct? Now, when you saw her in Spalding Rehab and in Brigham and Women's, you were acting in the course of your job. Is that right?
That's correct.
So you're being compensated, you're getting your paycheck and that type of thing.
Yes.
How many times have you seen Lindsay at Tewksbury Hospital?
Perhaps 200 times.
Tell the jury why you continue to see her for 200.
Sustained.
200 times. 200 times. Here's why this is important. Because she told this lovely chaplain about the voice commanding her to kill her children and they wouldn't be safe. And now she's happy that they're safe. And the first time Dr. Zeisel saw her was not until February. That was the first time that he was allowed in. So she heard, Lindsay told her this before she ever told this to Dr. Zeisel. Dr. Zeisel, I'm going back to my notes, did not see her until February 4th. Prosecution has made it clear that this is all made up. She made it up with Dr. Zeisel and Kevin Reddington, and that this is fake. She was not in psychosis. She never told anybody she was hearing a voice. This woman saw her 200 times, and she told this lovely woman, who reminds me of Anne Margaret too, that she told this woman that she heard voices on January 31st. Tell the jury why you saw her 200 times. Objection sustained.
At Tewksbury Hospital.
Perhaps 200 times.
Tell the jury why you continue to see her for 200.
Sustained.
So can you tell us how often on a weekly basis you would see her at Tewksbury?
Yes. When Lindsay was admitted to Tewksbury State Hospital, I continued to see her on a weekly basis. We had built up a very comfortable, respectful rapport, and I felt it was in her best interest to continue that as she healed. She was still in deep grief. She was suffering.
Sustained.
So
That opinion be stricken.
So did she express anything about her children and their loss over that period of 200 times that you saw her thereabouts in Tewksbury?
Objection.
No, overruled.
Yes.
Other jurors?
Lindsay talks frequently about her children. She loves them deeply. She carries immense grief.
Objection.
Overruled.
Wow.
Next question.
She carries immense grief. That's huge. That's huge. She talks about them frequently. She loves them. She carries immense grief. All the haters out there say she's not showing one shred of regret, not one shred of remorse. And that, my friends, was allowed in.
And has that continued to your observation?
It continues presently.
When was the last time that you saw Lindsay in Tewksbury?
Just prior to the trial starting.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was
Kamal.
Thank you. Excuse me. Good morning.
Good morning.
okay. Buckle up for cross because this could be ugly. Do you know that murder is a mortal sin, Chaplain?
You were talking about on January 25th, 2023, when you first saw Lindsay in direct examination, and you said that there were a lot of police officers in the area, correct?
Correct.
But you mentioned that some of them were security personnel from the hospital, correct?
Correct.
And you're aware that the security personnel for the hospital don't work for the state police, the Duxbury Police, or the Plymouth County DA's office, correct?
Correct.
So they're separate and apart from law enforcement, correct?
Yes.
And then are you also aware that on January 25th, 2023, there was a search warrant being executed to collect evidence from the defendant and from the belongings that she had at the hospital?
No, I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that that collection of the search warrant required state police and personnel from the crime lab to be present for the collection of evidence?
I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that following that, at any given time, there were only 2 officers, either Duxbury Police, State Police, or Plymouth County Sheriffs at her room, the defendant's room, at any given time?
I do recall that.
And they were stationed outside of her room, correct, in the hallway?
Yes.
So that the only time you saw this large amount of officers present was on the 25th, when there were security from the hospital and search warrants being executed, correct?
Perhaps.
Now, you mentioned that on January 31st, 2023, you spoke to the defendant and she told you that she heard a voice telling her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe, correct?
Correct.
You wrote very detailed notes that are contained in the Brigham and Women's Hospital records regarding your interactions with LINDSAY CLANCY, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And in all of these notes that detail every time you interacted with her, you never once wrote that she told you she heard a voice or what that voice said, correct?
Correct.
And you also said that this voice, talking about the voice, came up in several of your meetings, correct?
Correct.
And you never once wrote about any of it in any of your very detailed notes, correct?
Well, chaplain notes are not verbatim transcripts of patient conversations. I'm not there to evaluate the patient. I'm there to bear witness to their suffering.
Okay, but the question was, you did not document those statements in your notes, correct?
Correct.
But you did document some other statements in those notes, correct?
Perhaps.
For example, on February 6th, 2023, in a note that you wrote regarding your interaction with the defendant, you said that, or you wrote, LINDSAY welcomed the visit and shared her fears of, quote, not being able to walk again, end quote. She continued to express her fears of how her inability to walk may make her vulnerable to others in the future. Do you recall writing that?
Yes.
Do you recall writing on February 9th, 2023, that the defendant was sitting in a chair adjacent to her bed and appeared to be visibly engaged, energized, and hopeful than in previous visits? Do you recall that?
Yes.
You also wrote in that note, LINDSAY spoke hopefully of being discharged when the time arrives to Spalding, correct?
Correct.
And then in February 13th, 2023, you wrote in your note that LINDSAY also expressed hopefulness in relation to her physical progress. She feels she has gained considerable physical strength and agility despite an inability to move her legs. She admitted that she feels, quote, deserving of this, end quote, in light of recent events. Do you remember writing that?
Yes.
Do you remember on February 16th, 2023?
Tell me what you think she's trying to do here. Tell me what you think she's trying to do here. She's broadcasting to the jury. She thinks she's going to get out. She wants to get out. There's nothing wrong with her. There never was anything wrong with her. She was energized. She was hopeful. She's deserving of this. I need to know more from my nurses in the chat about Chaplain's notes. I had no idea that Chaplain's notes went into a hospital record because I've never had a case like this before where a chaplain was provided to share their grief. She says, I'm not there to evaluate. I'm there to bear witness to her suffering. I'm not there to evaluate. I'm there to bear witness to her suffering. I want to hear that last note again. February 13th, 2023, she said.
Progress. She feels LINDSAY also in your note. And then in February 13th, 2023, you wrote in your note that LINDSAY also expressed hopefulness in relation to her physical progress. She feels she has gained considerable physical strength and agility despite an inability to move her legs. She admitted that she feels, quote, deserving of this, end quote, in light of recent events. Do you remember writing that?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Deserving of what? Deserving of being paraplegic for the rest of her life and paralyzed from the chest down because she killed her children? Like that was her punishment from God? You could read that two ways, right? She feels deserving of this. Right. Like that's my punishment because I wasn't successful in taking my own life. That could backfire.
On February 16th, do you remember on February 16th, 2023, that you wrote in a note that the defendant expressed hopefulness with the news of her anticipated discharge to Spalding and seemed uplifted that she would be cared for in a facility with an excellent reputation?
Yes.
Do you recall writing on?
Does Tewksbury have an excellent reputation? You guys have told me it's like hell inside there.
Excellent reputation, Spalding, and seemed uplifted that she would be cared for in a facility with an excellent reputation.
Yes.
Do you recall writing on February 16th, 2023, that Paula, the defendant's mother, and Lindsay, the defendant, were playing a card game as they communed quietly, and that Lindsay expressed hopefulness with the news of her anticipated discharge to Spalding and seemed uplifted?
Yes.
And again, you've got all these details about her feelings and her thoughts and what she's doing, but nothing about the voices that you spoke of so many times, correct?
Correct.
And speaking of Spalding, you continued to visit her at Spalding, correct?
Yes.
Did, in those conversations,
She wasn't talking about Spalding because she was in Spalding when she made these comments, when they had these conversations.
with her at Spalding, to visit her at Spalding, correct?
Yes.
Did, in those conversations with her at Spalding, did she tell you that how in those first weeks at Spalding, that part of her physical therapy, she was working out with a yellow exercise band? No?
I don't recall her telling me that.
Did she tell you that during that time at Spalding, she reached out to a social worker there and asked for?
She was working out with an exercise band. So she's evil because now she's exercising with the murder weapon, fantasizing about what she did to her children, reliving it. That's what she's trying to point out. I thought all of these questions were at Spalding. Unless she went back in time. You need to hear that again.
Yes.
Did, in those conversations with her at Spalding, did she tell you that how in those first weeks at Spalding, that part of her physical therapy, she was working out with a yellow exercise band? No?
I don't recall her telling me that.
A yellow exercise band. Which child was killed with the yellow exercise band? Anybody remember? I tried to block it all out of my head. But I'm imagining it was probably Dawson because this prosecutor wants everyone to believe that she hated Dawson the most. I'm sure Emily C. knows.
Did she tell you that during that time at Spalding, she reached out to a social worker there and asked for help filling out SSDI paperwork to get an income?
That would be beyond the scope of our conversation.
She didn't tell you those things?
No.
Thank you.
So, counsel has asked you about her filling out a form for SSDI. Were you aware of what expenses her family and were incurring as a result of her physical incapacity, paralysis, and being in the hospital?
From my experience with thousands of patients, I had a very clear idea of the enormous expense.
There's a difference between, as the district attorney very appropriately referred to, that your comments were about her thoughts and her appearance and her feelings. Is that correct?
Correct.
There's a difference, however, between privileged communications with a chaplain and observations of a person's feelings and thoughts, correct?
Correct.
Tell the jury what effect privileged communication has when someone talks to you personally as a chaplain.
This is so important. Remember, we talked about clergy privilege when we were talking about whether they were going to call Father Bob to the stand. And I said, well, there is a, oh, Emily actually doesn't know that. Wow, Emily. There's a clergy privilege. There's a clergy, it's not really a doctor-patient, but a clergy, I don't know what you would call the client of a clergy. Let's just say clergy parishioner, for lack of a better term, privilege that can only be waived by the parishioner. And so they couldn't get Father Bob to talk about his conversations with Lindsay. She must have waived it with respect to this chaplain for this testimony now. But at the time, she had a privilege. And so there were certain things that she could not write in the notes. And this chaplain is going to explain that privilege to us now. It's as if you're going to confession. That's right. If you go to confession and you confess to Father Bob that you committed a murder, he can't tell anybody. And they can't force him to testify about that. That's why people talk to their priests. That's right.
Because I'm not a medically trained clinician, I approach patients in a vortex of trust. Some of our chaplains at the Brigham are ordained clergy. And so there's this understanding that when a patient interacts with a chaplain, the conversations are confidential.
Do you put them in medical records?
No.
The words, like Lindsay indicated that she felt uplifted, I think counsel read that twice. Were those your notes, or is that what she said to you? Did she say, I feel uplifted, or is that your
was my
observation?
perception of Lindsay. It was not her words.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Como?
You said you're not allowed to put the defendant's words in your medical records. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. It's not that I'm not allowed. It's an understanding, and it's a conversation that's held in confidence with the patient.
Then why are there direct quotes in these medical records from the defendant?
Well, they're not verbatim transcripts.
No, not a transcript of the whole conversation, but you put phrases in quotes. For example, on February 6, 2023, where it says Lindsay welcomed the visit and shared her fears of, quote, not being able to walk again. So those were her words in your note, in quotes, in the medical record, correct?
Yes,
Thank you.
I use my best judgment.
Okay. I would move to have these submitted as the next exhibit, the notes of the witness in her interactions with Ms. Clancy at the Brigham and Women's.
Any objection?
No.
All right. They may be admitted.
I have no further questions. Sorry.
Hey, Mr. Reddington, go ahead.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
I mean, to me, that was very compelling testimony. Very compelling. I think this might be the best witness of the entire trial.
All right, counsel, could I see it?
What do you think? She's like, yes, my conversations are confidential. There's an understanding that they're confidential, even though I'm not an ordained minister. I liked her a lot. Why would she lie? So we're going to fast forward a little bit. I have a feeling, I hope they're not going to break for the day right now, but if they do, I can go back to sleep. So that's okay with me. Because right now it is 4:44 a.m. for me.
Include, all right, patients with this. So I'm going to short day for you, right?
They're letting the jury go, but let's see what happens because they
It's
may
going to be a short day for you, right?
argue.
And I appreciate your patience with us. So I'm going to excuse you till tomorrow at 9, all right? Same instructions. And that includes reading anything, talking about this case, watching anything. Just don't do it, all right? And when you leave here today, just drive, go home, wherever you're going to go, and plan on being back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. The plan would be that it will be it will be a longer day than today. I appreciate you coming in here today. We moved the case a little bit today, and I appreciate that. So we were able to do that. So I hope everybody has a nice afternoon and evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning for a longer day. And just remember those instructions from the moment you leave to the moment you come here tomorrow. Okay? Again, thank you so much.
All rise, please, your executive.
They may have motions. They may have a charge conference. Well, not a charge conference yet, but there may still be things going on in the courtroom. Somebody said she had a smirk on her face when she walked away from the podium. I want to watch it back again because I missed it. Let's go scooch, scooch, scooch.
To have you submitted as the next with Ms. Clancy at the Brigham.
Any objection? No. They may be admitted.
I have no further questions. Sorry.
Hey, Mr. Reddington, go ahead.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. May you step down.
All right, there's sidebar now. We'll see if they're going to do anything else today for us to view, for our viewing pleasure. Smash the like button if you haven't already. It helps people like you find us. I appreciate that so much. So much. I think she's an angel on earth. Chaplain SHIELA CAVANAUGh and Margaret in the flesh. Music to my soul. Thanks for working hard to balance covering this case. Oh, thank you. I covered that one earlier. Let me just... I don't like the way StreamYard organizes this because, like, after you've already read something, it kind of dims, but it doesn't dim enough to make a difference. So you don't know what you already read and what you didn't read. Okay. Hold My Matcha says, took your advice, Mel, and bought the tickets. Me and the Jonas Brothers in October for my birthday month. Thank you for all you're doing. Oh, I love that so much. I always say that. Buy the tickets, do the things, make the memories. Go see your favorite band. Go see a Broadway show. Go see all the things you want to see because you never know when your favorite band might not be around anymore. Rest in peace, Bob Weir. Mo became a member. Thank you. Kay Shredded the Bows says, have you seen the AI babies on TikTok? The channel from the Karen Reed trial did a video for this trial, and it's a must-see. Baby Kay Shred with a giant poster. No. Oh, I haven't, but wait, she's also got a YouTube channel. I will look for it. Thank you. Let's talk about Nikki. Let's talk about it. Nick P. Let's talk about it. Okay. Thank you for your super sticker. Jeff says, do you agree that Reddington didn't ask for a mistrial? Do I agree that he didn't? I don't have any personal knowledge of it, so I don't know if that is true or not. So I really can't opine on that. Are other people opining that he did not ask for it at, I don't know. I don't know if he gave an interview. So I don't know what he's saying. I don't know, Jeff, so I just don't know. Charles says, female court sheriff has a beautiful face. Name? I don't know, but I do know that the Dave, who takes his job very seriously when he bangs that gavel, God save us from the Commonwealth. I know Dave. I don't know the female. Vicky says, yes, 3 jurors have been officially dismissed. 3 of them? According to whom? I don't want to spread that rumor unless it's a vetted source. If they're going to have the charge conference today, that would be fantastic because that's very important and we need to watch it. That would be great. Thank you, Vicky, for your 5. The dash in between, we had a case in Australia I was close to where a mom took the life of her 8 kids and 1 niece. She was found not guilty by psych caused by the devil's lettuce. I was laughing about the devil's lettuce with my daughter last night. She's like, you've never heard that before? I'm like, no. I said, Kevin Reddington is like 75. I thought that was something like an old boomer term. She's like, no, they say they use it now. So it's current lingo. There was another woman in California who did like 1 bong hit of the devil's lettuce. That was like, I don't know if it was synthetic marijuana. And she stabbed a guy like over 100 times and she was outright let go based on psychosis. So it's a wild, wild world out there. Hold on. I found it. I found the baby AI video. Hold on. This gives me life, these baby AI. And you know how much I hate AI. But these baby AI videos of trials give me life. So shout out to KarenRetrial.ai. Wait, I wonder if she has a YouTube channel because it's easier to play on YouTube. And she needs to change her username because she doesn't just do the Karen Retrial anymore. Hopefully we're going to get a church conference today. Another short day. Hold on. Hold, please. Let's watch this while we wait. If you've never seen these videos before, you're gonna love it. I think you're gonna love it. Let's move over here.
Now, are you an active member in the Catholic Church?
Yes.
So you're aware that murder is considered a mortal sin?
Holy cow!
Or did she seem to understand the questions you were asking?
Yes.
And her responses, did you understand those?
Yes.
Look at the bow. Look at the bow. The bow is giant. I'm going to start again because I want you to come to your screen if you can. This might give you life. There's one of me too. There's a baby AI video with me in it, and I love it so much.
Now, are you an active member in the Catholic Church?
Yes.
So you're aware that murder is considered a mortal sin?
Holy cow!
Or did she seem to understand the questions you were asking?
Yes.
And her responses, did you understand those?
Yes.
So what she was writing made sense given the situation. She wasn't writing, is there a unicorn in the corner, right?
What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What?
If there was a unicorn in the corner.
It's a yes or no.
You make it impossible to answer that question.
Next question.
But the bottom line is that you didn't get any fingerprints.
Correct.
Baby Reddington sitting on the desk. Oh, I'm dying. I love this so much. The hand in the pocket. It's so well done.
And that you could have just said that, right? Just come on the witness stand and say, we didn't get any fingerprints.
I saw her 3 years ago. I see about 200 patients a
I'm
month.
sure you're very busy, but this is a murder trial, doctor. Did you review your records?
Kelsey, do you have a copy maybe that she could look at?
Oh my gosh, the baby judge looks so much like the judge. This is everything.
Oh, I have a copy.
That might be easier for the witness.
The chalk is bigger than baby Kev. The chalk is bigger than baby Shred. Baby K Shred. Oh, I love her so much. Is that awesome or what? All right, we are still waiting. Still waiting. Wait, unless, no, it's still going. Love it. Love it. I didn't left swipe. If I left swipe, it takes longer for me to come back in. We needed that, right? Charge conference will be today. All right, let me see if our friend Bob Mata from Defense Diaries has updated any info. Oh, please. Let's see. I'm very happy that many of you have been going over and watching Defense Diaries evening recap with Bob. Allie was texting me yesterday and she said, thank you so much for the cupcake invasion. We love the cupcakes. Okay. I thought he learned how to do a thread, but now the thread ended. He said word on the street is the defense will be arresting today, but that is not the case. We saw one witness, the chaplain, and he hasn't said much about anything. Didn't he say earlier that it was something about the jury? He might have had to delete it. No, 3 of the jurors were also sworn in at the side of the bench. They're bringing each individual juror in and swearing them in at the sidebar. The judge is having a brief discussion with them, and then they have to go back. I have a feeling it may have something to do with the silent rally. That's just his feeling, though. Sidebar over, short recess, jury back in. The next witness is not clearing the courtroom. Yep, the chaplain. He said, let me clarify, testimony is done for the day. Initial charge conference will be conducted today. Well, what time is it over there on the East Coast? 11 o'clock. So they're not going to, I think hopefully they'll do it before lunch. The baby videos are everything. They are. So yes, he did say I refreshed. Thank you. He did say charging conference today. So we're going to wait. Because as I say to you always, the jury instructions are one of the most important parts of the trial. And we are well versed in the jury instruction in Massachusetts on criminal responsibility. Oh, okay. Let's see what Brian Enton has to say. Thank you. I don't need a team. You guys are my team. You guys are my team. Let's see what Brian Enton has to say. Brian Enton says, the judge says they will discuss jury instructions after a brief recess. A charge conference, that's a great question, Sunny Day, is where they discuss the jury instructions. Each side gets to submit a set of jury instructions that they want the judge to read to the jury that tells them what the law is. And they get to include what they would like the judge to say to the jury. And then if they can't agree, the judge is always the final arbiter of what the jury is instructed before deliberations. And it is very, very, very important. You're dead at the baby videos? Funny, right? Oh, Beth, thank you for your Venmo. Thanks for your dedication on this trial, even when being out of town. You're amazing. Courtney says, hopefully this covers a coffee in a Hawaiian coconut. Oh, that's a great idea. Grace said, Lindsay couldn't save her own children from this horrific illness, but she's helping moms and children around the world right now. I'm frozen on your phone. Maybe refresh. Yes, they're going to be resting Monday because there is going to be more witnesses tomorrow, but that might also be pushed because the chaplain was today. We know that tomorrow, Kay Shred has another witness, Resnick, on Zoom, I think on Zoom. And we know that the Commonwealth has to put on its rebuttal case because they still have a burden of proof to prove that she was sane at the time she killed her children. And so far, they haven't proven that to me, and they got to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Every single witness that they have put on the stand has been, in my opinion, helpful to the defense. Right? I think so many things could be interpreted in different ways. But then again, if you go out there and my mouth is not in sync with the audio, I don't know what to tell you. There's nothing I can do. I'm traveling. I'm in a hotel. I've got a setup that is bare bones, but we're just going to have to deal with it. Sorry, but there's nothing I can do about it. Resnick is another expert witness. And so they do have one more expert to put up. But we're waiting for them to do the charging conference. Thank you, Donna, for your Venmo. Thanks for covering this case. Donna, thank you for your Venmo. Thanks for covering your case. Your insight is greatly appreciated and needed. Janet said, I wish that I was called for jury duty, but I never have since being a law enforcement or medically retired law enforcement. I get called, but I never get picked because most of the time I know the lawyers and then just like, okay, Melanie, bye, go home. They don't really like lawyers on juries, but it is the way it is. Stream has been fine all the times I've been on. So is it not fine now? Is that what you're telling me? I mean, if there was an issue, the mods would let me know. But if there is an issue, Oh, they are in sync for you? All right. If they're not in sync for you guys, whoever said that, just refresh your own browser and see if that helps. Maybe StreamYard is having problems, or maybe YouTube is, because of the breakage of the internet that's probably happening right now, that everyone's watching this trial everywhere. Oh, I love how underneath lawn crime it suggests my video. I mean, let's see how many are over at lawn crime. 60,000 people are watching at lawn crime. They should be coming over here. But then again, if you read what they're saying in the chat, I don't think we want them over here. So if you're just tuning in, the angel sent from heaven, Chaplain SHIELA CAVANAUGH, testified this morning for the defense. She first met LINDSAY CLANCY on January 5th, 2023 at the Brigham. She said that LINDSAY was in medical armor, meaning she had all kinds of tubes and everything, cervical collars, all the things that we saw. She was shown a picture. On Tuesday, January 31st, she said LINDSAY was finally extubated. She said she had a flat affect and that they had been praying together all this time before she was able to speak. And that LINDSAY said to her, "I'm so glad my children are safe." That's the first thing she said to her. She also said that she alluded to hearing a voice that said to her, it was a command, if you do not kill your children and yourself, that she and her children would not be safe. She has seen LINDSAY CLANCY over 200 times. They built a rapport. She said that LINDSAY appears to be grief-stricken about the loss of her children, or the killing of her children. That she talks about her children all the time, that she loves them, and she carries immense grief. And the last time she saw her was right before the trial started. And then on cross, she also said there was a huge police presence. There was like everybody everywhere, a lot of police. And then on cross, the big moment, big initial opener for Jennifer Sprague was, well, you understand there was a search warrant happening at that time. And then after that, there was only 2 officers at a time guarding her. She's like, no, I really didn't know that. But she agreed that there was only 2 officers. Like, what's the difference? If she had she murdered 3 children. There should be a huge police presence. She should be handcuffed to the bed. Like, I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. But I don't know why she thought that was some big get. And then she also, brought out her notes from the Brigham. And the chaplain did make notes in the record, in the actual hospital record. She never wrote about the voice in the notes. She said, I'm not there to evaluate. I'm there to bear witness to her suffering. She was really like an angel on earth. On February 6th, there was a note. Sprague said, well, she shared her fears with you of not being able to walk again, that it may make her vulnerable to others in the future, and that she had fears of not being able to walk again. And then you said on February 9th that she seemed hopeful and energized, and she was hopeful of being discharged from Spalding when it was time. And then on the 13th of February, you wrote in the notes that she had hopefulness about her physical progress, and that she said that she was deserving of this. It's unclear whether she was deserving of being paralyzed for what she did to her children, or deserving of making some slight recovery. Thank you, Unbanned Karen, for your gifting 5 memberships. You're amazing. She said, do you remember a note that you wrote on the 16th of February that she had hopefulness of being discharged and that she was happy to be going to a facility with an excellent reputation? And we all looked at each other like, Tewksbury? And she was playing a card game with her mother on that day. Do you remember that? A lot of the haters on the internet are very angry that LINDSAY gets to have a phone at Tewksbury and is able to play cards and dominoes and have food brought in by her family on all the birthdays of the children and the New Year's Eve, which happens to be one of her children's birthdays. People are very angry about that. I will point out to you that even Rex Heuermann, the Long Island serial killer, has a tablet in jail, as does, who's the defendant recently that's going on, like dating, not dating apps, but he wants to get married. Who is it that's in there that wants to get married? I forget. Somebody wants to marry this guy. Yes, we did see the crowd outside today. She's deserving of her being paralyzed. She did say, oh, did you know that she was working out with a yellow exercise band in physical therapy? That was somehow in the notes. Chris Watts, that's who it is. Chris Watts is getting married. How was he able to communicate this with this woman? He probably has a tablet too. Mackenzie Shirilla also, well, I think her phone was illegal. I don't know about Mackenzie Shirilla. She was working out with a yellow exercise band in physical therapy, as if to insinuate that she somehow was, reliving the fantasy of murdering her children with that yellow exercise band in physical therapy. Oh, and did you know that she was filling out Social Security disability SSDI paperwork just so that she could try and get an income? And then, of course, I think Kevin Reddington cleared it up on redirect when he said, why is it that you didn't write that she was hearing voices in your notes? And she said, well, these are privileged communications. He got into privilege. And that she mentioned a vortex of trust, and that she believes that everything a patient says to the chaplain or to her is confidential. And he said, well, when you wrote in there that she was uplifted and hopeful, were those exact quotes? And she said, no, those were my impressions. And then the notes went into evidence at 10:45 a.m. The jury was excused for the day, told to come back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And we are waiting for the charge conference where they will talk about jury instructions. Yes, ADA calling the chaplain a liar. That will not sit well with the jury, says Wood Shanti. I mean, she already pulled out the mortal sin card, and I don't know how that went over with them, but there were audible gasps in the courtroom. Oh, that's right. Brian Walsh set up an inmate pen pal dating account. It was bizarre. That's true. They pretty much arrest you in Massachusetts if you don't show up for jury duty, says Brenda. She says, I love jury duty. Thank you, Babe's mom, for your super sticker. Rock Chick is here for 10 months and says, Connecticut cupcakes stand with Lindsay. Pink Crowd says, courthouse has one major driveway and very open space, hard to ignore the crowds. Charles says, I'm going to put on my pink shirt. I don't have pink pants. I'm an old-fashioned grandfather. Leonard Soph says, respectfully, if it is because of the support outside the courthouse, security should have been aware and set a plan for jurors to be transported in avoiding the presence. Thanks for the stream. Yeah, they knew this was happening. This has been widely publicized. They knew it was happening. I'm sure they set up extra security out there, but I don't know if it has to do with that, and I don't know if we're going to find out. Babe's mom sent you an email with Lindsay's address so people can send notes. I'm not going to publish that. I don't think it's a good idea. Because there are a lot of crazy people on the internet that will find that address and write her hate mail. And I'm just, unless I hear from Kevin Reddington that he wants that and that she wants that, I'm not going to do that. We did it for Edric Foss because his attorney, Ahmad Cruz, specifically asked for letters. Kelsey Fitzsimmons' attorney specifically asked for letters. You guys, the cupcakes really supported Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and she said that when she was incarcerated, that got her through the day. Reading your letters, as did Edric Foss. You guys really boosted his spirits. And those of you who were boots on the ground at the Edric Foss trial in Georgia were told that by Ahmad Cruz, how much the cupcakes were helping him get through. But I do appreciate it, Babe's mom. I'm just not going to publish it. I just don't think it's a good idea right now. Bonnie Scotland said, I live 10 minutes from the courthouse. We'll try to get over there. I've got lots of pink All love and support for Lindsay from this mom who had PPD 27 years ago. You're a sweetheart. I think it's only today, though. I'm not sure. Your dad's favorite mom says, as the discourse continues to spiral. Oh, wait, now I did see that I froze. All right, you know, I'm going to refresh my browser. Don't go anywhere. Just stay there. All right, my camera is acting wonky, so I'm going to try it this way because the freezing and the out of sync audio is really annoying to me too. So let's just mic check. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I don't know if it's a StreamYard issue. I don't know if it's a YouTube issue. I think it's probably StreamYard though. If where I am doesn't have like high enough bandwidth right now, but it was fine yesterday, so I don't know. So let's just do this for now. Okay, so let's just keep it up because that really annoys me when it's out of sync. So we'll just do this. We'll be old school today. Your dad's favorite mom says, as the discourse continues to spiral, I think it's important to remember that we all came from a mother. Think about what you would want for her. Would justice look the same then? It's great. It's a great question. One sec. Technology is going to be the death of me today. Dead air is the worst. They got to hurry up. Come on. Come on. Otherwise, I'm going back to bed. How hard is it to be nice? Well, sometimes they just don't care. They just don't care. Annie says, or Anne says, the Commonwealth is probably mad about the crowds. Thanks for tuning in from Canada, Anne. Candace became a member. Welcome. Trixie, welcome. Lindsay, thank you for your super sticker. Color and Chat with Joanna became a member. Jamie Ricky says, I followed you since Karen Reed's second trial, but just recently became a paid member. Oh, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the support. Jay Amen says, this isn't much different. 10 people who didn't believe Maya Kowalski had CRPS, and look how that situation turned out. So sad. Yeah, that's a great point. Kay Comer, thanks for gifting 5 memberships. You're amazing. Michelle Davenport says, nobody covers the trials that are as good as you, Melanie. Oh, you're sweet. Red Shred'em. Oh, man, you guys are so creative. Says, thank you so much for the safe space to watch this trial, Melanie. Thank you for watching this trial. Red Shred'em. New Jersey Cuzzy Full became a member. Welcome. Amanda says, hi, finally a cupcake. Substance Season 2, Karen Reed. Awesome, welcome. It is a short day, but not for us because we're waiting for the charge conference. Yes, maybe Father Bob is there with the holy water and he's doing the exorcism of the Bobbsey twins. You think? Lauren Loveland became a new member. Welcome. Law and Disorder says, I got PPD counseling after my daughter was born before discharge at Brockton Hospital, also Plymouth County. That was 2001. Why is this not a national thing? Because it should be. Yes. Earlier, if you weren't here, I pointed out the statistics of ALS. And many of you in the chat, in addition to me, have been affected by ALS. And the statistics on ALS is that it affects 1 to 2 in every 100,000 people. Postpartum psychosis affects 1 to 2 of every 1,000 postpartum women. That's a wild statistic to me. And the public campaign or the public awareness around ALS is so much greater than it is around postpartum psychosis. I can't play Fox News. They don't like it. They'll strike me. The charge conference is where they discuss the jury instructions and which instructions will be read to the jury prior to their deliberations. Thank you, Bethany, for your compliment. Oh, your nephew lives on Maui, but he's visiting you in Illinois right now. Thank you so much. That's awesome. What a great place to live, huh? Dexter, save us from the Commonwealth. I was in court yesterday. I spoke with Rosemary Scapicchio, Red, Bob Mata, so many women. Everyone supported LC. The reporter Bob saved Red from asked us for an interview. I don't know who that was. Miss Blue became a member. Welcome. Mitten Girl says, I love listening to you and hearing your thoughts and insights. I stand with Lindsay, all women suffering from PPP, depression, and anxiety. Just a mom with MS, been here for 8 months. Prosecutor better be on a short leash with this lady. Heather, thanks for becoming a member. Amber says, why aren't chaplain communications protected like clergy? I think they are. I think the argument is that they are, and that is why she didn't write it in the notes. She's not ordained. I don't know exactly how far the privilege goes. I don't know if Lindsay waived the privilege to let her speak, but to her, she said she considers their communications to be privileged, and so that's why she didn't write them in the hospital notes. The jury has been excused for the day. We are waiting for them to do the jury charging conference. And that is something the public can watch. It will be broadcast. We're just waiting. Only one witness this morning. If you didn't watch the witness from this morning, please go back and watch it. To me, that may have been the most important testimony of the trial. Maybe. Tell me if you think so. Shred the Stigma, Cupcake RN. Oh, that's such a great name. Says she's bipolar, depressive episodes and euphoric episodes are hallmark, right? And that's what Dr. Zeisel said. He diagnosed her with he diagnosed her with bipolar disorder, with postpartum psychosis. undertones or something. Let me find it in my notes. That was his opinion. At the time, she suffered from a mental disease or defect, which prohibited her from knowing the wrongfulness of her actions or from having the ability to stop herself from doing them. And he diagnosed her with postpartum psychosis, because remember, postpartum psychosis does not have its own diagnosis in the DSM-5. They are trying to get it into the DSM-6 as its own standalone diagnosis, but as of right now, it is not. Charlie says they need to perform an exorcism on these ADAs. That's so funny. I said that the other day. Karina, thanks for your 5. Josie Mojo says SPV financial institution equals no chump and chaplain, no liar. Thanks, Mel and chat for safe place. Thank you. Operation Hug-a-Thug says yellow was Dawson. I looked at my notes. See, that's she'll close on that. She'll say she hated Dawson the most. She said he was a handful on Facebook. She said everything was difficult with him, getting him into the car, getting dressed, going to school. She killed him with the yellow exercise band, and she used one when she was in rehab so that she could relive the killings because she's a psychopath. I'm telling you right now, that's going to be her closing. Print that. Lena says, I can't stand the DAs. It's also the tone in which they ask a question, which makes them all the more dislikable. Such a mean girl vibe. I think the jury's picking up on it too. Maybe. I mean, all of you are. Dare the Light says the ADAs, beyond being bad at their jobs, are set on vengeance instead of justice. It's so good. This is being exposed. Thanks for 33 great months. Oh, thank you for being here for so long. Jeff does think that was the best testimony so far. Green-eyed Southern Girl says, but the therapist determines what exercise band is used. I don't know. That I don't know. What happens if it's a hung jury? If it's a hung jury, because they can't agree, the Commonwealth will determine whether or not they want to re-prosecute LINDSAY CLANCY. And based on the fact that we know that it was, 30 minutes after Karen Reed's hung jury that they decided they were going to try her again, I do believe absolutely 100% they would retry LINDSAY CLANCY. Mary says, interesting, they cut the day short. This morning, Reddington said it was going to be a long day again. Thank you for getting up so early for this case. We appreciate you greatly. Well, we had some reports from inside the courtroom that there may have been one or more jurors excused today, and that it may have been an issue that they were not anticipating. And so, listen, a trial is a living, breathing thing. And days can change. So I don't know what changed, but people were speculating some wild things yesterday. The defense did not rest yet. Thank you, Scott. They did not rest yet. They still have another witness on Zoom tomorrow, Dr. Resnick, who's an expert for them. Oh, people are saying, Buffy says, different colored bands offer different restraint, different strengths, different colors. And Sparkle to Maine says, fun fact, the PT chooses the band for the resistance. It wasn't her choice. There you go. Julie says, are you buying any Dave Matthews Band fall tickets, Mel? Yes, in fact, through the warehouse, which is the Dave Matthews pre-sale for members, I got pit tickets for both nights at the Garden. Yes, when I say the Garden, it's Madison Square Garden, not Boston Garden. So yes, I'm so damn lucky because that never happens. I request them through warehouse all the time, and I don't often win, but I'm saying it's probably because Tiny Mary popped out of my suitcase because she's always looking out. Yes, Joe's Mojo said, yeah, he did say that Dr. Resnick is going to be tomorrow on Zoom. We thought we were going to hear from the Commonwealth experts today, 3 of them. Rachel became a member. Welcome, Rachel. Ashley, thanks for your super sticker. Operation Hug a Thug said yellow is Dawson. I looked at my notes. Thanks. Thank you. Blue Bow Psych said I was turned down once from jury duty because of your profession. It happens. Robert, thanks for your 20, says a son and grandson of mothers who had mental illness. My heart goes out to Lindsay. Thank you, Robert. Boy Mom 311 says I love the AI videos typically. On this case, I'm not so sure because of the age of the victims. I hope they don't include Lindsay or Patrick and skits. The bows are spot on. Oh, did you see that TMZ? I think it's TMZ is stalking Patrick and his new wife in New York City with like a very, very long range lens. And they're being like stalked by paparazzi in New York City. So gross. We're waiting for the charge conference if you are just joining. Shred the stigma. Cupcake RN says, I'm sure the therapist encouraged her to stick to a routine even on those days, and they probably told her to call it my tragedy. Emily says, my father broke his neck by diving into a pool and was quadriplegic for 30 plus years. He did not have any injuries on his head either. Well, there you go. There you go. The defense did not rest. They assume you know nothing, says color of the band denotes amount of resistance. That's why it is documented. Thank you. MJ became a member. Shout out to my mom, says Lee Stone, who got me and my hubby hooked on Mel. Oh, your mom is awesome. She's got really great taste. Did you hear? Did you know? She's got really great taste. Jamie says, I hope the pink clip in the nurse's hair was purposeful. I didn't notice. What you mean, the chaplain's hair? There was no nurse that was testifying today. Do you mean the chaplain or one of her nurses? Thanks, Jamie, for your time. Lala became a member. Welcome. MJ says, can Pat Clancy sue the people saying he did it? Yes, that could be defamatory. And I heard that his lawyer, especially in New York has very strict defamation laws. And he lives in New York. I heard that his lawyer was sending out cease and desist letters. I don't know if that actually happened, but I did hear that there was some talk about that. Elizabeth Mullins has been here for 23 months. Does anyone notice how light and calm it was while Chaplain was speaking till the Commonwealth started and it got ugly again? Poof, good feelings gone. Yes, I noticed. Natalie, thanks for your super sticker. To Neil, thank you for your super sticker. The Measured Maverick says, can you imagine insinuating anyone, regardless of psychosis or not, that she made a conscious choice of band color? I'm telling you, they have insinuated so much stuff that was so inappropriate during this trial. But really, for me, the one that really crossed the line was, Mrs. Clancy, are you a practicing Catholic? Oh, well, you do know that murder is a mortal sin, right? I'm going to make a banner to tell people what we're waiting for. So if you would be so kind as to let people know that there is a banner scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And the defense did not rest. We thought that was going to happen today, but it did not. Oops. Let's see. And that's what we're waiting for. My camera is off because it was glitching and my mouth wasn't matching with my voice and it was annoying. Jenny became a member. Welcome. Oh, Joe Josie said, correction, not SPV, Senior Vice President. Oh, okay, thanks for tuning in from South Africa. Tennille said, in 2005, I was diagnosed with PPD and borderline psychosis. I was told they could not accommodate my needs and to go to the ER if a crisis arose. Who told you that? Are you talking about McLean? Trainer Diane says, I'm a trainer and I choose the weights clients use. All right, good. I think they're coming back as the camera.
This court is back in session. You may be seated.
Praise be.
Your Honor, for the purpose of the record, we return back to the trial of Commonwealth versus LINDSAY CLANCY, all parties are present, excluding the 8 attorneys.
All right. All right, Counsel, what I kind of wanted to do is at least have a preliminary discussion regarding instructions. And what I would generally do is after we have the discussion is then kind of distribute a draft to council so we could have a more focused charge conference next day or so. But I just kind of wanted to get everybody's thoughts or kind of suggestions that they would be seeking the court to instruct the jury on. So kind of what I'll be using will be the model jury instructions, generally the model jury instructions from the March 2026, the latest suggestions from the SJC. And so Commonwealth, let me kind of hear what your thoughts are, and then I'll hear from the defendant.
So for individual instructions, we have listed opinion testimony, prior inconsistent and prior consistent statements, redactions. I don't think there are too many, but there were some on the death certificates, stipulations, and consciousness of guilt instruction. In terms of what we're looking for for the charges, we'd be looking for an instruction on first and second, with the theories of first being both deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity and cruelty. In terms of the criminal responsibility instruction, we're asking that the instruction regarding intoxication not be given because from our perspective, there's been no evidence of intoxication by drugs and or alcohol during the killings. There's testimony, and I think there'll be more testimony about the defendant taking pills after killing the children, and before killing the children, she was on low-dose prescription 10 milligrams of amitriptyline that was recently increased to 20 milligrams, but there's no real evidence of whether or not she actually increased that dose. And then it was a low dose of trazodone and a low dose of, I believe, Valium. So those were prescribed.
They found the volume and then they lost the volume, so I will boost it again. Hold on.
Prescribed medications that she had reported no side effects from, and I believe in the text with her mother, she's medications that goes and that
Were you not able to hear her?
Extreme atrocity and cruelty.
All right, so they want charges on first and second degree murder.
We'd be looking for an instruction on first and second, with the theories of first being both deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity and cruelty. In terms of the criminal responsibility instruction, we're asking that the instruction regarding intoxication not be given because from our perspective, there's been no evidence of intoxication by drugs and or alcohol during the killings. There's testimony, and I think there'll be more testimony about the defendant taking pills after killing the children, and before killing the children, she was on low-dose prescription 10 milligrams of amitriptyline that was recently increased to 20 milligrams, but there's no real evidence of whether or not she actually increased that dose. And then it was a low dose of trazodone and a low dose of, I believe, Valium. So those were prescribed medications that she had reported no side effects from, and I believe in the text with her mother, she said that she was still waiting to actually feel effects from those. So there's no evidence of intoxication from those drugs. And then the only intoxication potentially could be when she took pills after killing the children. And even those amounts from the toxicology are low level amounts. So we're asking that the instruction on intoxication not be given.
Another weird thing about Massachusetts is that intoxication in cases like this can be a minimizer. That's what they found in the trial of Dr. Ingolf Turk, which is Kevin Reddington also represented the bad doctor in that case. And if it's hard to hear, you're behind. It can be a minimizer. But where's the evidence that she took the pills before she killed the children? Have we seen any evidence of that? I don't remember that evidence.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask the defendant as well, because I did read through those. And I was trying to find the definition of intoxication as it applies in the homicide instructions. Most of the cases that I was able to find so far is the dealing with the OUI statute, Chapter 90. And trying to find the real definition in regards to that. Is it the Commonwealth's position that the intoxication is beyond what was the considered effect of the drugs? Because if you know what I'm saying? So if she takes, if a defendant, I don't mean to personalize it, if a defendant takes prescription drugs and it does create some effect, would that be considered intoxicated for the instruction?
I don't believe so. I think in the instructions, it talks about having being intoxicated to the point where it affects your state of mind or ability to control yourself. I think intoxication, especially where there's not a specific definition given in the homicide instructions, I think you go to the general definition of intoxication, which would not just be taking medication as prescribed, but it would be over taking medication or combining with alcohol or other drugs. It's similar to the instructions in OUIs, or, operating under the influence of alcohol or drugs. I think you would have to go to that definition or to the general definition of intoxication if it's not specifically defined in the instructions. And I think the general definition of intoxication is taking some type of substance, either alcohol, drugs, medication, in excess and to the point where it's affecting your ability to think and to act and to control your behavior.
All right. All right. Anything? So I've got opinion, prior, consistent, prior, inconsistent, redaction, stipulations, consciousness of guilt, first, second, extreme atrocity, deliberate premeditation, and the criminal responsibilities without the subparagraph or the paragraph regarding intoxication.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Mr. Reddington?
I don't know if the government has been listening to the same evidence in this case. This is clearly an involuntary intoxication defense, at least as far as the judge's charge to the jury, based upon the evidence that's been presented, whether or not it's what we would argue is the over prescription of the medications, whether or not it's the side effects of the medications, whether or not it's the titration or the termination or the immediate cessation of the medications against what normal medical advice would be. All of those factors contribute to the state of mind of Ms. Clancy that was expressed to a lot of people, family members, people that knew her. She had indicated, I think Your Honor knows the evidence, repeatedly indicated that she was affected by the benzos. She was felt that she was being addicted to the benzos, trying to get off the benzos. She indicated that the sertraline was obviously killing her as far as going from 25 to 50 milligrams. And then subsequent to that, when there's additional SSRIs prescribed, to suggest that there's no basis to give the jury the instruction, they may determine based on the evidence that is as a result of the involuntary intoxication from narcotics, not alcohol, obviously, from the prescribed narcotics, not illegal drugs. So from the prescription drugs, that's on all fours with a valid defense that they should be instructed as it relates to involuntary intoxication. I think it's the model jury instructions on criminal responsibility. Obviously, if there's any nuances that I would pick up, I would bring that to the court's attention. But I have tried murder case recently with the model jury instructions, and my memory is that I was pretty satisfied. It was Judge O'Shea, I think, actually in this courtroom a year ago, and I was satisfied with the instructions on lack of criminal responsibility. I would at some point ask the court to charge on involuntary manslaughter. I'd ask the court to charge on wanton conduct with a component of the impact of the intoxication. So you can't try this case in a vacuum. You can't present the case to the jury. I know the government would like to present the case only on cruelty and atrocity. They probably don't like the statute that allows a jury to determine the degree of murder, which would be first and second. But I think that the evidence is such that a jury should have the option of considering whether or not we're talking about involuntary manslaughter based upon the evidence that's permitted. So I would defer to the court on the instructions on cruelty and atrocity, premeditated malice aforethought, second degree malice. I would ask the court to consider instructing on involuntary intoxication, to consider on the involuntary manslaughter as a lesser offense, and anything else that I can think of. But right now, that's what I can think of.
All right. Yeah, counsel.
Thank you. Commonwealth did request first and second degree instructions. It's our position that involuntary manslaughter wouldn't apply here. The evidence is that there was a specific intent to cause the death. So there's nothing that I can think of in the involuntary instruction that would apply here. Going back to the intoxication just for a moment.
Sure.
All of the medications, most of the medications that defense counsel talked about that the defendant was having reactions to and side effects from were before her hospitalization at McLean Hospital. And she was weaned off of that last one, the Seroquel, that while she was in McLean Hospital. And then she was without those medications and they're out of her system for 3 weeks. And she's just on those other 3 medications. So the intoxication that matters is not what happened in the fall and before McLean, it's what happened on the day of the incident. It's similar if it's an OUI, it doesn't matter if you were drunk in November, it matters if you're drunk on the date of the incident. So what matters here is that January 24th, 2023, and those other drugs and the effects that they caused to her aren't relevant to what happened on that day, as they've been out of her system for at least 3 weeks at that point.
All right. So the Commonwealth's position would be that the relevant analysis is what she was taking on or around that January 24th?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Sure.
It's occurred to me, again, as I said, it's only fresh in my mind from a case I had here last year. I know the model jury instructions indicate, and I'm trying to find it in here, that there's supposed to be consideration of a chalk for the court to write out the elements of the offense of first degree murder, cruelty and atrocity, premeditated malice aforethought, etc. And I would ask that you not do that. I don't think that it's appropriate. I think it highlights, if you will, in simplistic terms, premeditated malice aforethought. I think you and I, we just had a murder case last year on another matter. And I mean, I heard your instructions. You're very forceful with the elements of the offense. And I just don't think we need to have this appendix or whatever you want to call it. And again, I did object to that with the Judge O'Shea. We did not submit the instruction list, cookbook, or whatever you want to call it, to the jury. So I think that the court's instructions would be sufficient. I would not want to have that chalk that is referenced in the model instructions. That's discretionary. It's not obligated. They just say that it might be helpful for the court to give the jury some type of a checklist. But I don't think we should reduce instructions on a murder case to a checklist. And I'm just afraid that what happens is that jurors then take the checklist, as it were, and they kind of look at it or consider it, and they just do exactly that. It's a checklist. So I would ask that you not do that.
All right, just so Counsel, my general practice is not to have that kind of list.
Yeah, I remember
I
that, yeah.
generally don't, but I also generally will provide a copy of the instructions to each juror. So they'll have their own full copy and they can follow along because the three of you know they're lengthy and kind of dry. So they'll have those with them. But I'll like I said, I generally don't do that chart. All right, so anything else in regards to the instructions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so my plan would be to have at least a rough draft available for counsel tomorrow. So you at least have that. And, depending on the timing and where we go in regards to the actual closings, we'll have the opportunity for you to review those, go over the draft, and then any kind of objections or suggestions you want to make, we'll have a chance to do that. But so you'll have, again, it's a rough draft. That's all I can tell you. And nothing's in stone, but at least give you an idea kind of where I'm coming from.
Do you think, logistically, Your Honor, that with the presentation of Dr. Resnick and then the government having their three doctors, hopefully we finish the evidence tomorrow, we would be closing Monday?
I would expect either Monday or Tuesday. If the parties may need, I'll leave, we can talk about that. But, my old experience, there's been a lot of evidence and there's a lot of witnesses. And so if the parties feel that they need like a day to kind of marshal their thoughts, we could talk about that. So either probably Monday or Tuesday. We could talk about that tomorrow. All right. Anything else we need to address, you think?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And so tomorrow we'll be in recess until tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Hopefully we'll start with Dr. Resnick and then, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. You just kind of looked, I thought, so that would be the thought. And then we'll just kind of go from there. If the defendant rests, the Commonwealth can then present their witnesses. And if it's not done by Friday, we go into Monday, and that may mean closings and charge on Tuesday.
Okay.
All right.
And Mr. Verino will be here, yes, to set up the Zoom.
So you're not going to trust me to set that up this time? I think that's a good move. All right. All right. So thank you, everyone. And so we'll be in recess until tomorrow.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Court, all rise.
That could have been like the shortest charge conference ever. What say you on that? Very short. Usually they're much longer than that. And that is the end of court for today. They will be coming back tomorrow, and they will be, Dr. Resnick will testify via Zoom, and Reddington's AV squad will be running the Zoom, because remember all the problems they had getting the Zoom with Dr. La Posada. No Spinelli, I guess. Does that mean Dr. Spinelli is not going to testify for the defense? And then the Commonwealth will put on its rebuttal witnesses tomorrow. I think they have 3. And then the judge seemed like he was leaning towards closings on Tuesday and giving them a day to get their closings together, which was nice. But I think everybody kind of wants this case to go to the jury sooner rather than later. But it seems that way to me, that maybe closings will be on Tuesday. We'll talk a little bit about what they wanted for the jury instructions. And Commonwealth wants to charge first and second degree murder in Massachusetts. They are allowed to. Even if she's only charged with first degree murder, they can include a lesser included. Kevin Reddington didn't have any problem with that. They also are looking for consciousness of guilt instruction. And she kept arguing that she took pills after killing the children. I don't know that there's any evidence of that specifically. So I'm a little confused by that, or her assertions of that, because who would know except for Lindsay? And she hasn't testified. And I don't believe she intends to testify. I think that perhaps the meds that were crushed up in that lemonade were her sleep meds from the night before. All right, so it's going to be Resnick first, then the Commonwealth's rebuttal witnesses. And they have a very heavy burden. They need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Lindsay Clancy was not in psychosis. That's the theory of the defense. She was not in psychosis beyond a reasonable doubt to 12 jurors. What do you think about that burden? Do you think they can meet that burden? Because personally, I don't know if they can. This entire case is going to have to hinge on their experts. If their experts can't make that happen beyond a reasonable doubt, I don't think they can get a straight up guilty. And that is my opinion. And I'd love to hear yours in the chat and in the comments. Kevin Reddington is also looking for an involuntary manslaughter. And he also said that clearly this is a case of an involuntary intoxication defense, and that instruction should be given to the jury. Let's take a look one more time. Many of you may not have seen this. This is the model jury instruction on homicide for criminal responsibility. And this is what I don't know anything about Patrick testifying again. It hasn't been brought up. I don't know why I don't know why like the internet sleuths were running with that. They could call him, but it doesn't seem like they're going to. I don't know where that rumor came from. Yeah, there may have been a juror or one or more jurors excused, is what we are told. Let me see if Bob actually said. And usually when the jurors are excused, if a juror is excused, they don't tell you why. But anybody who's in the courthouse might have noticed if one of them was missing. So I don't know if there's any confirmation of that, but it seemed like there was a big juror issue this morning, and that's what took so long. Let's take a look at the criminal responsibility statute and the intoxication instruction that goes along with it. And he knows this one very well because this is the one that Reddington used in the Ingolf Turk trial. And if you were here with me for that, then you might remember it as well. So take a look at this. We've been over this specific jury instruction many times together. So I'm not going to read the entire part about criminal responsibility again, but I will scroll through it slowly if you would like to read it to yourself or screenshot it for later. Lauren Conlon said, juror number 1 quit? Okay, I don't know. I like Lauren and she's a good reporter, but I don't know where she would get that information from. But perhaps that's true. I just don't know. I can't say, so I don't want to mislead any of you. Criminal responsibility. This is the model jury instructions on homicide, criminal responsibility. And it begins by saying, to prove the defendant guilty of any crime, the Commonwealth must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant was criminally responsible at the time the alleged crime was committed. The Commonwealth bears the burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant committed the crime with which she is charged, and also that the defendant is criminally responsible for her conduct. The defendant has no burden to prove a lack of criminal responsibility. Criminal responsibility is a legal term. A person is not criminally responsible for her conduct if she has a mental disease or defect, and as a result of that mental disease or defect, lacks the substantial capacity either to appreciate the criminality or wrongfulness of her conduct or to conform her conduct to the requirements of the law. You may remember that Dr. Zeisel was asked that exact question or actually that was his testimony, in that exact phrase. The phrase mental disease or defect is a legal term, not a medical term. Dr. Zeisel also said that in his testimony. It does not need to fit into a formal medical diagnosis. He said that also. It is for you to determine, in light of all the evidence, whether the defendant had a mental disease or defect. If the Commonwealth has proved to you beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant was not suffering from a mental disease or defect at the time of the killing, the Commonwealth has satisfied its burden of proving that the defendant was criminally responsible. If the Commonwealth has not proved to you beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant was not suffering from a mental disease or defect at the time of the killing, then you must consider whether, as a result of a mental disease or defect, the defendant lacked the substantial capacity either to appreciate the criminality or wrongfulness of his conduct, or, that's an or there, not an and, or to conform her conduct to the requirements of the law. If to establish that the defendant had the substantial capacity to conform her conduct to the requirements of the law, the Commonwealth must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that any mental disease or defect that may have existed did not deprive the defendant of her ability to behave as the law requires, that is, to obey the law. So two things can be true here. The jury could find that she did in fact suffer from postpartum psychosis, but that she was still able to understand right from wrong, and she was still able to know or understand that killing her children was against the law, and that she would have been able to prevent herself from doing it. But let's go down to the intoxication. And I think he said, camera's off. I think he said, does not involve alcohol. So, okay, maybe it's this one. Where there is no evidence that the defendant knew that a consumption of drugs or alcohol would trigger or intensify a mental disease or defect. Because think about that. She's been prescribed these medications. Nobody's ever diagnosed her with bipolar, or they suggested it, and she and Patrick didn't like that, allegedly. So was there evidence that she knew that if she took these prescription drugs that were prescribed to her, that it would trigger or intensify her postpartum psychosis? Well, she thought they were supposed to cure her, right? So this would be the one that I would ask for. And so here it says this: you must also keep in mind that where a defendant at the time the crime is committed had a mental disease or defect that by itself caused her to lack the substantial capacity that I have just described, she is not criminally responsible for her conduct, regardless of whether she used or did not use alcohol or drugs. That is even true. That is true even if she did use alcohol or drugs, and the alcohol or drugs made the symptoms of her mental disease or defect worse. It's a very complicated concept for a jury to understand. Because these were prescription drugs that she was prescribed, and there's no evidence that she took too many of them. So intoxication caused by the voluntary consumption of alcohol or drugs, that's this other section. We'll know more when we know exactly which instructions they're going to give. And the judge said he would have a draft for them by tomorrow. And so this finishes the charge And that's whether or not, okay, where there is evidence the defendant consumed drugs or alcohol. That if the defendant lacked the substantial capacity to appreciate the wrongfulness or criminality of her conduct or to conform her conduct to the requirements of the law, her lack of such capacity was solely the result of voluntary intoxication by alcohol or other drugs and not the result of a mental disease or defect, or, yeah, but it would be like involuntary. And then it goes on to talk about the consequences. Hopefully, well, when the judge reads it to the jury, we'll know exactly which one they're using. So it's hard for me to speculate just by looking at this particular jury instruction at this moment. Charlie said many meds are fat soluble. If Lindsay was losing weight, old meds possibly entering her system well after cessation. I don't know. Brown Eye Girl is here. Thank you for your 5. John Doe says hung jury seems likely in my opinion. Melanie, do you think the state will attempt to retry her or can they accept a plea by guilty of reason of insanity? I think they will retry her. That's what I think. They never offered her a plea deal. But I think they will retry her. What do you think? Brown Eye Girl. I mean, they retried Karen Reed and John O'Keefe was not hit by a car because medicine, science, injuries, and everything that we know. But they retried her immediately, or they announced it immediately within like a half an hour. Brown Eye Girl, thanks for your super sticker. Attorney Wannabe 12 says the TikTok account made another baby video with attorneys like she did for, yes, we watched it earlier. Thank you. It was so cute. Baby Reddington sitting on the desk. Sheila says the baby video is everything. Thanks for that. And thank you for what you do. Aloha. Aloha. John Doe says, what will they do with the alternates in the event they need one after deliberations start? Sometimes they keep them in the courthouse. Sometimes they keep them on call. It's better to keep them in the courthouse because then they can't go home and watch social media. Philly says, is there a limit to the number of witnesses the Commonwealth has allowed in a rebuttal case? Not that I'm aware of, but they have announced, I think, that they only have 3. And so maybe all of that will get done tomorrow between Dr. Resnick on Zoom and then the 3 Commonwealth experts. Hi, Dina. Is this the Dina who was we saw on TV this morning? She says, thanks for all you do. Beautiful show of support this morning. It really was, Dina. Thank you for your 20. Maria, thanks for your super sticker. John Doe says, I'm asking if they can accept a plea of insanity, but they have to offer it first. They have to offer it, and they haven't offered it. You know what I'm saying? Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns. Oh, Becky, thank you on Venmo, says the prosecutor said the yellow band comment with extra sing-songy in her voice. Is that how Lindsay said it? Or was she saying it out of despair and disbelief that she had used a yellow band? Well, many of you are telling me, and you are physical therapists, that the therapist chooses the band, that the different colored bands have to do with the different resistance. And so that band was chosen for her by her physical therapist. Lisa, thank you so much for your Venmo. She says, thanks for your coverage. I suffered from severe PPD with each child, so it's been hard to watch. I also got help from my awesome OB, and my husband is a rock. A couple months ago, dropped kid 1 at the Air Force Academy in Colorado, and I miss him so much. Enjoy these days. Oh, I love that. Diane says, hi, Mel. I got my daughter watching. You can shout her out. Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay. Your mom, Diane, says hi. Patty says, for your amazing coverage of the Karen Reed trial and now the LINDSAY CLANCY trial. Thank you, Patty. Diane says, hi, Mel. Love your coverage. Thanks, Diane. Lina says, you're such a beautiful human. As someone who suffers from mental health, I appreciate your compassion, respect, and open-mindedness when reviewing this case. We need more people like you. Oh, you're very sweet, Lina. Thank you. Shelly, thank you so much. She just says thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you who sees the importance of this case. Hopefully this will be This will change something. Hopefully it'll be historical. Hopefully more attention will be paid to women's health. Larry, thanks for the matcha latte. Thank you so very much. He says there needs to be a foundation that researches into these women's issues. Well, Patrick Clancy started one. It's called the Herd Foundation. We talked about it one day. Thank you. And they want to open an inpatient facility for moms, postpartum moms, and their kids and their babies. I mean, thank you, Golden Girl, for your super sticker. John Doe says, I understand. I'm just wondering if you think the pushback changes things, but I'm assuming the answer is no, based on what you said. Thank you. If the pushback from the public, I mean, I think that the pushback is from the Commonwealth. The defense agreed to stipulate to the murders and go to trial just based on criminal responsibility. The Commonwealth would not do that. They wanted to try the case the way we saw them try this case. Defense also made a motion to bifurcate the trial, which is done in many states, by the way, including California, where the first part of the trial is on guilt and whether or not the defendant committed the crimes alleged. And if found guilty, then the next phase is criminal responsibility. And they wouldn't do that either. So yeah, if a deal could have been worked out that she could plead not guilty by reason of insanity, if that deal was offered, I imagine that she would have accepted it and that her attorney would have advised her to accept it. But in the end, it's always the client's decision, because under the statute, she would then go to a mental health facility and then her case would be reviewed let me go back to the statute again, because it's changed since 2022. If a defendant is found not guilty by lack of criminal responsibility, the district attorney may, and generally does, petition the court to commit the defendant to a mental health facility. If the court concludes that the defendant is mentally ill and that his or her discharge would create a substantial likelihood of serious harm to herself or others, then the court will grant the petition and commit the defendant to a proper mental health facility. Periodically, the court reviews the order of commitment. The old statute said 6 months and then every year thereafter. The new statute only says periodically. And then it says if the defendant is still suffering from a mental disease or defect and is still dangerous, then the court will order the defendant to continue to be committed to the mental health facility. There is no limit to the number of such renewed orders of commitment as long as the defendant continues to be mentally ill and dangerous. If these conditions do continue, the defendant may remain committed for the duration of her life. If at some point the defendant is no longer mentally ill and dangerous, the court will order him or her discharged from the mental health facility after a hearing. The district attorney must be notified of any hearing concerning whether the person may be released, and the district attorney may be heard at any such hearing. However, the final decision on whether to recommit or release the defendant is always made by the court. Oh, if you're here late, you should definitely go back and watch the testimony of the angel on earth, Chaplain SHIELA CAVANAUGH. I thought her testimony was excellent. And I got to be honest, I'm still not sure where I stand on this case. I don't know how I would vote if I was on the jury. We'll do another poll after the end of the day tomorrow if all the Commonwealth experts testify. And so I don't know. 10 boarding passes today, right? Oh, wow. There's a lot of trolls in the chat today, huh? I mean, are we surprised? Lorna from Scotland bought 3 matcha lattes and says, thanks for everything you do. Thank you for being here. Oh, guess what, everybody? I won my appeal against the Associated Press UK. Remember how they tried to claim some of my video was their copyrighted content when it was pool camera footage? I won. Praise be. YouTubers, don't bow down to the AP. They do this to everyone. And then they try and swipe your ad revenue, and it's BS. I won. Oh, that's a win. I like it. Green-eyed Southern girl says, I do. You know how you would vote, you mean? If you've had mental illness, you will sympathize with her and know she begged for help. Oh, they did it to Justice Served as well. See, they do that. It's Associated Press UK. I don't know why they think it's their own content when it's a pool camera. And it's clearly fair use because I commentate and stop and talk about it. And it was like weird because it was like an 8-hour video and it was only like they claimed like 3 minutes sporadically throughout the videos. It was so weird. Kevin Reddington just got bombarded by supporters. They're calling him the man who sticks up for women's mental health. Did anybody, let me look on YouTube and see if anybody has footage of that because I would like to see that. Let's see. Well, if you missed it, this is the footage from earlier from Long Crime, unless this just happened just now after he walked out. It's possible. Let's take a look.
You know, it's very moving for them. They don't forget it.
Right. All right, hold on. Let me boost it because of course the volume's not going to be good.
You know, it's very moving for them. They don't forget it.
Right. Mr. Reddington, what's your message to all these folks who are here today?
Thank you. That's all I can say. It's amazing.
We love you, Kevin. Kevin, are you surprised at just how much attention this case has gotten? I mean, people are coming from Maine.
It's the message. It really is. It's the message that just has reverberated, you know, throughout the whole country.
What is that
Reddington's
message?
fighting for women's rights.
No, I
for
don't.
healthcare.
I think that it's the mental health system. I hate to use the word health care because unfortunately in this case we can see it hasn't been health care, and I think that it shines a light on this issue. I mean, when a woman is going through what so many people do, and they go to a doctor and the doctor says, you know, here, take this pill, take that pill, take this pill, and then they basically treat them for 15, 20 minutes and send them on their way. It's just not right.
And to those who can't wrap their heads around sympathizing with a mother who killed her 3 children, what do you say to them?
I think it's almost like when you're picking a jury and sometimes somebody will say, well, I don't agree with, you know, this allegation of murder. I mean, none of us do. But that's what we have juries for. They pass between the government and the defendant to see if they can prove their case.
Is she aware of this support, and what does she think of this support?
I'm going to go in and see her right now. I'm sure that she is, and if she isn't, she will be.
What do you think about?
She's so beat up and just so sad. But this will really help her out, I think. It's awesome.
Tell her we love her.
What do you think about you being the advocate for all women right now?
I'm not an advocate.
You are. But you are. But you are. But you are.
That's live in the action. That's what's happening here.
Look at how many people were outside the courthouse this morning. It seems like that was from this morning, though. It seems like that was not after court. That was before court. So I don't know if there's another one after court because he was walking in, right? And he said, I will tell her.
I did. I was like, oh, I got all the wedding stuff done yesterday.
Who's having a wedding? Somebody's having a wedding. Naomi, you don't have to pay to talk. I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. There was a slow mode was on because there was well over 20,000 people in here, and it just makes it too hard for the mods. So I think you can only send a message every 60 seconds unless you're a member. You don't have to pay to talk. Subscribing is free. And I also do not run ads during my live streams, which a lot of people apparently do. I didn't know. I just thought nobody did. So I never did air any advertising during my live streams, because that way only people with YouTube Premium don't get the ads. I don't know whose wedding it is. Can we crash the wedding? And I often do highlight comments from people who don't super chat. So that I hope you don't feel that way, because that's not the way I roll. John Doe says, I guess I'm just getting at the fact that the trial has gone so poorly because of the two prosecutors. Would they reconsider and offer that deal now? Oh, they could. Okay. Now I understand. Yes, they could offer it at any time. They could offer it at any time. They could also just decide to drop the charges at any time, but they won't. There had been some rumblings that maybe Kevin Reddington did not move for a mistrial at sidebar after that comment about religion, which they are not supposed to ever bring religion into the conversation when trying to either impeach or bolster a witness's testimony. And so that was completely improper. Everybody knows it. She has enough experience to know it, and she absolutely knew it, and she did it anyway. But at this point, I can understand. Well, here's the thing. If a mistrial was granted and it was caused by the prosecution, she could not be tried again because double jeopardy has attached. And so she would just be set free. She's out. She would be out. The question remains, though, has there been, maybe that one instance was not enough for a mistrial, but is there a cumulative effect of prosecutorial misconduct that happened during the course of this trial that rises to the level of warranting a mistrial? And there's been a lot of shenanigans that have gone on, so many things that I think were incredibly misleading, if not an outright misstatement of facts. From the book that she had in her house that was recommended by one of her providers, that they made it seem like it was so nefarious, to the misstating of the tying of the bands around the neck, because Patrick testified to it. So many things that were absolute misstatements of facts and evidence that could it rise to the level? I don't know. Do they still have time to move? Yeah, they probably do. But I'm sure that he protected the record. Hold on 1 second. One sec. So that remains to be seen, but we'll see what happens. Trials are living, breathing things. And so things, change from day to day. Rachel, thank you for your 20. Katie became a member. Welcome. Kelly O'Kelly says, my analogy for McLean, she was in crisis and the treatment was the equivalent of having a heart attack and being offered nutrition classes. Blue Bow Sykes says, thanks for covering even when you're traveling. You're awesome. Thank you. Kathy says, who pays the cost of Lindsay's confinement if she's found not guilty by reason of insanity? The state, because she still is confined. Being found not guilty by reason of insanity doesn't mean she's being found not guilty. It really means she's being found guilty, but she has no criminal responsibility for her actions. So the state does pay for the confinement. And as she is evaluated, eventually she could be let go. And what we heard from the experts for the defense, postpartum psychosis could be a transient thing. She could be better now. But as of right now, I absolutely have reasonable doubt. I have more than reasonable doubt that she was not sane. To me, it is more likely than not that she was in psychosis. But they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she wasn't. And I don't see that yet. A lot of trolls. Rachel says, thanks for deciding to watch this whole thing. I wouldn't be able to without you. I'm your emotional support person. Oh, thank you, Rachel. Lisa, living in Massachusetts, I won't be surprised if they retry multiple times, right? Remember Cara and Tala? I think there were 4 trials for her. Also, I missed my ham sandwich, pizza, and pancakes name. I need to update that again. That's funny. Alabama realtor Gigi says, my daughter is a therapist, and she said there's a new infusion med for PPD that worked very well with a coworker who used it. You have to be home with the help for 2 weeks, but it cured it. Thanks for covering. That's very interesting. I haven't heard about that. I have not heard about that. All right. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns before we wrap for the day. We'll be back at it tomorrow, 3 a.m. my time, 9 a.m. There is an option for not guilty. Yes. That specific question had to do with the confinement, but there will be a not guilty option on the verdict form. It's highly unlikely that the jury will find her not guilty based on the fact that the experts are admitting that she confessed to doing it, that she heard voices and that's what caused her to do it, that they were command hallucinations. But jury nullification is a thing, and there could be jurors on the jury. To get 12 of them would be difficult, but if they all say, yeah, well, we know she did it, but we don't care. Not guilty, to send a message, it happens. They're supposed to follow the law, but they don't have to. Color and chat with Joanna says, thanks, crushing it. Just got jury note for grand jury pays $20 a day. Should I? You should definitely, if you're retired or if your job will pay you while you're out and you can afford to do it. Sometimes grand juries though can go on for months, but sometimes it's only once a month. I don't know where you live, but I think it's a great experience. And I think everyone should do it. If you can, if you have the opportunity to, I think you should. That's on my own personal opinion, because we really need good jurors, Timu twins in contempt. Oh my gosh, what a username that is, huh? I have struggled with anxiety and depression for a long time, and I go through spurts with therapy. I just had a follow-up with my PCP, and she recommended a service run by Dr. Tufts. I think not. Oh my gosh. I have heard from so many patients of Dr. Tufts who were patients of Dr. Tufts at the same time that Lindsay was, and they say things like, this could have been me. This could have been me. So, yikes. All right. I'm going to, she says, thank you for not running ads. Thanks, good citizen. I didn't get sued by the AP. They just claimed part of my video was their copyrighted material, and I had to appeal it, and it took a while, but I won. No, they do that a lot. And it was not even their footage. It was pool camera footage from Law and Crime. The trial's over for the day. We're coming back tomorrow at 9 a.m. All right. I love you all very, very much. Thank you so much for spending so many of your days with me. I do owe you a recap or a rewatch on part of day 15, the day that I was in the air. I think that was day 15. We did watch Mrs. Clancy's testimony. We can go back if you want over the weekend and rewatch Dr. Zeisel's beginning of his testimony and Dr. Laposada's testimony and Dr. Condi's testimony. Let me know if that is something you're interested in doing or if you've already done it somewhere else and you don't need to do it again. So let me know in the comments if you want to do that at some point over the weekend. But we will be back at it tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, for supposedly 4 witnesses, 1 from the defense and 3 rebuttal witnesses from the Commonwealth. All right, Commonwealth. Thank you. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy, but by all means, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Thank your moderators, tip your servers, and I will see you in the morning. Peace out, my friends. Stay safe out there because it's a jungle. Peace.